needs to have everything my office has.
Also possible, because your local Staples store has the tools, tech, and furniture you need to get work done from home. And right now, you can save up to $100 on select chairs to put the finishing touch on your home office. Explore what's new at Staples, the working and learning store. Ends 3/5, in-store only while supplies last.
When it comes to your credit card, Discover believes in having real people available 24/7 to help answer your questions. Discover, exceptionally common sense.
He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer. And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots. He's Dayton's own Keith Byers. Hang out with him every Monday at noon on the Keith Byers Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken.
Jeff Graham.
Trotwood's coach, okay.
Trotwood coach Jefferson County, and I always, I'm supposed to get out there later in the springtime. I'm going to come see him later in the spring, but I used to spend a lot of time when we played together at the Jets in Dayton, Ohio with him. I'm familiar with Bob Evans, as I always tease him. But man, only good food place y'all got out there. Bob Evans.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Hey. Look at you trying to carry the weight of the energy today. I don't know what the hell I'm so tired for. Like, I am just struggling today. I am riding the struggle bus like you would not believe.
Look, man, it's 50 degrees outside.
That's the problem. We're inside.
It's going to be 73 degrees tomorrow.
Golfing tomorrow.
It's lit this weekend, man. It's going to be like 65 on Sunday.
Golfing Sunday.
Let's put on a great show and then get out there and enjoy this good weekend. Let's go.
I'll enjoy the weekend. Will this be a great show today? I don't like to make promises that I can't keep, but we are with you until 6
o'clock. You're not the only one.
So never mind. It's built in the environment, I guess. But we welcome you in. Happy Friday. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. A lot to get into today. We'll touch on some Buckeye stuff. We're going to take a look at some of the results of the Combine, or not really results, but takeaways from the Combine. We love speed, right? All we talk about is his 40 this, his 40 that. And I'm here to tell you right now that we have been hearing, or I've been following a ton of reaction on social media of everyone bragging about the 40s of Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson. And I'm here to tell you it's not that impressive compared to some others, and we'll get into why that doesn't matter, why it doesn't matter if there are some significant faster players in the Combine. We'll get to all that coming up here in just a moment. A couple things to keep an eye on. So the Major League Baseball, Major League Baseball Players Association, Kev, both have started funds to support workers who are impacted by the lockout. Now, of course, the Players Association, and here's why, for one, this is a good thing because money will be going into the pockets of those who are still just kind of sitting around twiddling their thumbs, waiting to be told when they can report to work. These people who work at the ballpark and who make money, we know how important that is. This is great. But I know I don't really find this very genuine of either side. So the Players Association comes out first, and they donate like $1 million to help those workers who are impacted by this. Now, the Major League Baseball then counters and says they're also going to start a fund because, well, yeah, you donate $1 million, we'll do $2 million. It's just going to be. Remember, this is all about PR and about just trying to win win the perception war, if you will. Found this interesting, but nonetheless, at the end of the day, regardless of the intent behind it, I think it was more so done to win a PR battle than it was to actually be generous by either side. The reason I know this is because it's only $1 million on either side, but let's just be real. But yeah, so at the end of the day, no matter how, I don't really believe the intent was positive in doing this. I think it was more of a PR stunt for both sides. At least that money is going to go into the pockets of those who are just sitting there waiting to go back to work and be ready to go for the upcoming season, whenever that may be.
Yeah, I used to think like you with this. I used to think for instance, when you see somebody doing a good deed and they post it on social media and everything like that, I always used to feel like, man, if you're doing a good deed, just do the good deed. Why do you have to post it on social media? Because you're making that individual that you're giving some money to or giving food to and everything like that, you may be helping them, but you're kind of making them feel less than and everything like that. And then I had a conversation with my mom about it, and she told me, well, what if that Instagram post or that Twitter post sparks another individual to do it to help someone else. So don't just think about it from the aspect of them doing it for likes, because that's probably what people are doing it for. But if that sparks another person to do another good deed for another person in need, it's all worth it. So if the players union being first up to donate $1 million made the ownership donate $1 million, which is in turn going to make the players union donate another $1 million, and then volleying back and forth, millions and millions of dollars going to workers, so be it. I'm cool with it, because those people, like you said, those people work those jobs. The beer guy, the peanut guy, the person working behind the ticket office, taking tickets and everything like that, the people that get paid to clean the stadiums. This is how they pay their bills. This is how they put food on their table. This is how they make sure their kids get to and from school, have lunch money and everything like that. So if they're going to be taken care of, I could care less if it's some bickering billionaires and millionaires going at it and trying to have an ego contest. I don't care. As long as the people that really deserve it and really need it are getting them, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, well, the rumor is that Bob Castellini did not chip in for the $1 million from the owner's side, that he promised a free pair of Reds tickets to an upcoming game whenever that season comes in. Just joking, of course. But am I, though? He won't do that. I mean, all resources need to go to that off the scrap heap shortstop or whoever they'll pick up before the season starts. Let's just be real. When we welcome you in, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty and Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Other news, the Dayton Flyers will welcome in Davidson tomorrow at 12:30, Kev. Dayton 21-9, 13-14 in A-10 play. With the win, they will have a chance to move up from the 3 seed to the 2 seed. Keep in mind, the A-10 tournament tips off on March 9th. That'll run all the way through March 13th on Selection Sunday. Of course, we now know that pretty much the best chance, if not the only chance, that the Flyers have of dancing in March will come down to that couple-day stretch from March 9th through the 13th. And tomorrow it's a big game against Davidson, of course, getting a chance to get a huge win over one of the top teams to be able to take that momentum into the tournament will be huge. A lot on the line. Yesterday, I said the tournament was in Brooklyn. My bad. It's in Washington. It's going to be, of course, the Capital One Arena. So interesting stuff right there.
You ever been to D.C.?
I had no, I have not. Yes, maybe in 8th grade, I think. Yes.
Is that where everybody does their 8th grade trips?
Yes,
because that's where I did mine.
6th grade then. It was 6th or 8th grade. Either way. Yes, I have.
I've never been as an adult. I need
as
to
an
get
adult.
there.
No, I have not. So, other college basketball news. The Wright State Raiders came away victorious last night in the Horizon League quarterfinals against Greg Campy's Oakland Golden Grizzlies. Wright State trailed by as much as 14. Could not score a bucket to save their life for the longest time. In fact, they were lucky to only be down 8. I mean, they were shooting below 20% for that pretty much the entire first half. Oakland shot close to 70% that first half. How they were only down 8 at halftime is beyond me. It was such a bad performance. However, the second half, a little bit of a different story, or at least the second half of the second half, because in the final 12 minutes, Kev, Wright State trailed by 14 heading into that. They went on a 38-15 run to close out the final 12 minutes. They won 75-63. Wright State now advances to the semifinals on Monday night. They will take on Cleveland State. In fact, I think Wright State is 2-4 against the field of the semifinals right now. They 0-2 against Northern Kentucky, 0-2 against Cleveland State, and then they beat the co-regular season champs Fort Wayne Purdue. So that's look, it is what it is. But they play like they did last night. That Tanner Holden kid, man, I'm telling you
Legit.
right now, he's as good as anyone in this city, and that includes both rosters combined. You combine both rosters, Tanner Holden's top 3 on either of those rosters. He's that damn good.
27 points from a guard and not hitting a three-pointer. That's legit.
He leads the country in getting to the free throw line because he just takes you off the dribble. He's so elusive with the ball, and it's just smooth. It's not the sexiest, but man, he's just so smooth with the ball. Just crossover, just get to the bucket. I mean, just glides to the rim. He had a heck of a game. The Basile kid last night, I think the top 7 scorers in that league. He's one of them. He's the only post player in there. So that's just how dominant of a post player he is. Both of those guys had double doubles. So Wright State again will play Monday night semifinals, Indiana Farmers Coliseum in Indianapolis. Chance to get back to the finals on Tuesday night, and we'll know by Tuesday if Wright State's dancing or not. And NIT's not in the works. They're not. I mean, if I had to guess, they're not going to pay in any dumb CBI or anything like that. So I said last night, it's either Oakland win or go home. Wright State, it's win or stay home. So they stay home for a night or two, and then they head to Indy on Sunday.
Naptown.
Dayton's own Mark Adams will be on the call for both of those on ESPNU, ESPN2, and the championship game on ESPN Tuesday night. So hopefully that'd be cool if he got a chance to call Wright State in the finals, but he will get a chance to call the Wright State game on Monday night. 518-1410, that's the number to call in, and you can jump in on the conversation. We'll continue to follow more college hoops as we, again, get closer and closer to Selection Sunday, which will be a week from this Sunday on top of that. So looking forward to that. I mean, like it is strange. Like last night as the game started, the league. So Chris Collins, Jim Brown, they do the game on they do the games on ESPN Plus. It's simulcasted on the other sports radio station here in town, but the league made them split it up. Because for whatever, the league has weird rules. I have no idea why. But so we got to do the radio call. They did the plus call. But last night, I'm like, as the game's tipping off, I'm like, wait, this could be it. This could be the last game. I feel like it just started because we just started really paying attention to everything college basketball wise here after the Bengals run the Super Bowl.
That's weird. I mean, it's just so fast because we are so engulfed with the NFL. We live, we die, we breathe with the NFL. NFL basically runs our lives from August until February. And then obviously a lot of Ohio State Buckeyes going on in there and everything like that with college football. So before you know it, March is here. The madness is here. The action is here. This is exactly why we love college basketball. The time is now. The time to lock in with your favorite college basketball team is now. And for the two teams in the area, they got a chance to punch their tickets in their conference tournaments.
Ohio State victorious last night as well. They're 19-9 right now, fourth in the Big Ten. They were able to get a win against Michigan State, 80-69 the final. This coming after two bad losses. They were able to get a big win against Illinois last week, and then they followed that up with a loss at Maryland and a loss at home against Nebraska. So they were able to get a win last night, 80-69 against Michigan State. They'll close out the regular season this Sunday against Michigan, and then it's on to the Big Ten tournament. I talked to Joe Lenardi the other day, although he doesn't have them on his bubble, if you will. They're in. It's just a matter of they could potentially, if they lose to Michigan and lose early in the Big Ten tournament, they could potentially drop into that 11-12 seed range because they have a very similar resume to Rutgers, Kev. Like they're very similar. They're in that bubble range too. So we could see Ohio State, of course, drop into the first four conversation as we discussed yesterday.
Yeah, I think that win yesterday was much needed, obviously, but I think that takes them off the bubble conversation because the thing about it is everybody talks about your good wins and everything like that, but you don't want to have bad losses. And to be honest, man, Michigan State and Michigan, like they're bubble teams. So if you lose to them, that's a bad loss. So avoiding bad losses is still a good thing. Keep them off your resume. Keep that not from happening so you can just get your way into the tournament and be in there safely. Obviously us selfishly to have Ohio State and EJ Liddell and the guys in town, that would be awesome for them to be in the first four. But as a fan perspective, you don't want them in the first four. You want them to have the first round bye and be a 5 or a 4 seed and roll the dice and see how far they can go.
All right. Evan McPherson, the kicker for the Cincinnati Bengals, was perfect this year, or was he? For whatever reason, that name is now being brought up at the Combine, and Bengals coach is not too happy with their perfect kicker. We'll talk about that coming up
really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless, now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Welcome to Allstate, where saving on your auto insurance is kind of like a joyride. You, your car, and an open road. Maybe your best friend, too. The music is chill, and so is the traffic. Allstate. Here, better protection costs a whole lot less. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Call me, Dave Maldy, at 325-2474. That's 325-2474. Right across the street from Frisch's on East Main Street in Springfield. Based on coverage selected, savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability.
My sign is a potential customer's first impression, so it needs to be perfect.
It's possible at Staples.
There are 4 other bakeries within 5 blocks of here. My shop needs to stand out.
Also possible. With Staples print and marketing services, small businesses can print big with wide format signs and banners. Right now, get $10 off custom printed signs, banners, and posters when you spend $50 or more. Create your sign at Staples, the working and learning store. Ends 3/26. Visit staples.com/signage for details.
Tip off to frickin' madness. When we say tip off, not only are we talking about every college basketball game available, but our new barbecue rib tips only at Frickers. Delicious bite-sized barbecue rib tips with your choice of dipping sauce. Every game played to the march to the national championship and domestic draft personal pictures for only $6.50. Tip that personal picture. Tip off to the national championship of college basketball and frickin' barbecue rib tips at the home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Frickers.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
O'Reilly. Count on the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts to recommend the best products for your vehicle and budget. Get maximum cooling system performance for 10 years or 300,000 miles with peak long life universal premixed antifreeze and coolant. Now just $3.99 after mail-in rebate. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless, now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Skid Row, Warrant, Winger, the Live to Rock Tour. Skid Row and Warrant. June 2nd, Rose Music Center at the Heights. With Winger. Tickets on sale now. At Ticketmaster.com and RoseMusicCenter.com. The anthems of a generation. Skid Row, Warrant, and Winger.
You make 35,000 decisions every day. Are your gambling decisions good ones? If you struggle with a problem with gambling, call 1-800-589-9966 for free confidential support. Do you have a loved one who struggles with a problem with gambling? This 24/7 helpline also provides resources on how to support a loved one who may need help. Call 1-800-589-9966 or visit beforeyoubet.org.
Ray Magliozzi here. eBay Motors has the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them. And if there's one thing I love, it's great parts and great prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Kev, according to Mary Kay Cabot with Cleveland.com, with all the conversations that have been held at the Combine, Baker Mayfield's camp was able to meet with front office members of the Cleveland Browns. He has been assured that he is their starting quarterback in 2022. He will not be replaced by a veteran. Does not mean that the Browns will not pursue a veteran quarterback. It does not mean that they will not look to add a quarterback. But my thing is the Case Keenum thing is still up for major debate to me because, the second that Stefanski comes in, they were able to get Case Keenum to agree to a 1-year deal, as most backup quarterbacks do, Kev. Mm-hmm. He got a backup quarterback to not sign for a 2-year deal, is what you would say the second tier of quarterbacks would do if they just want a landing spot for a few. Most veteran backup quarterbacks that still have confidence in themselves to be a starting quarterback at the National Football League, they do not sign 2 to 3 year backup quarterback deals. I can't think of any. And that's what we saw. We saw him sign a 3-year deal with the Cleveland Browns. The second Kevin Stefanski got there, they were able to get a backup quarterback to come over and sign for a backup deal at 3 years. Or did they? Did they tell him, hey, there's a very good chance that by the end of this 3-year deal, you're just going to be the Browns starter? Is there a good possibility that was the case? Well, it's not as if there wasn't a chance to be able to put him in to take over for Baker Mayfield. That's what I don't understand. Right. Case Keenum, there's been a lot of conversation about, is he not the real deal, but is he as good? There's no way he can't be as good as Baker Mayfield, right? I mean, his best season came with Kevin Stefanski. If there was ever a time to squeeze him in to really try, and this is why I don't believe that the coaching staff, there's one of two things here. The coaching staff is not bought into Baker Mayfield as some are thinking, or Case Keenum is just that bad. Because Baker Mayfield was really bad last year. Baker Mayfield was really injured last year. Baker Mayfield's line was really hurt last year. Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb missed a lot of games last year. Wide receiver, that was a disaster last year. I mean, the offense was bad last year for a lot of different reasons. Some are excusable, others are not. I believe that if you're on the field, you got to be judged for what you do on the field, but I cannot sit back and ignore some of the reasons that have led to the struggles on the field. The bottom line is the Case Keenum thing, the Browns even talking about looking at veteran quarterbacks, looking at this. What happened with Case Keenum? Because all of you out there that just like to hate Baker, just to hate Baker, Case Keenum, there's no way. I mean, I remember Dominique Foxworth. I remember all the ESPN analysts talking about Case Keenum's as good as Baker. They should have just rolled. Obviously not. Because if he was as good as them, for one, the games that he did play in, they would not have just had him handed off the entire time. They never once tried to let him throw or take advantage of his arm. He threw for it was under 200 yards in his one start this season against the Broncos. He didn't light it up against the Cincinnati Bengals. He was below average. I'm willing to admit that Baker is in that average to above average range in there. Case Keenum's not average. He's not above average. He's not even average. So I don't understand that. So clearly the Browns made a mistake with that deal. But I still, to this day, I really am questioning Case Keenum's mindset. Why would you sign a 3-year deal to be a backup? You signed a 3-year deal going into a situation knowing that Baker was the guy, even though there's questions as to how much of the guy he is. You weren't brought in. I mean, unless there was a message told to him that there is a chance you could end up being the starter, and maybe he felt that comfortable in Stefanski's system that was something he was hoping the stars would align right. I don't get it. I know they're talking a lot about looking at potential veteran quarterbacks, but you have one. Is Case Keenum that bad, Kev? Because I think he is, apparently. I think he's that bad. They brought him in on a 3rd and 13 one time, and he handed it off. That's how bad he is.
Could have been going to Cleveland strictly for a payday. Maybe the Cleveland Browns offered him the most money. I mean, when you got a deal that long and guaranteed money, you could take a 1-year deal and try to go prove yourself, or you could view yourself as like, man, my time is come and gone. Who's about to pay me the most money? And maybe the Browns just had the most money to give him. He said, forget it. I'm about to set up my family for the future and take this biggest offer out there. We see people do that in quote unquote regular life every day. Obviously this is sports, so it has like a different appeal to it because, the whole, you want to be a starter, you want to be a winner and all that type of stuff. But we see people do that every day. We see people take jobs that they don't want strictly for the money. So maybe that was the case with Case Keenum.
And it backfired either for him or it backfired for Cleveland, but I don't think either picked the right spot as far as that is concerned. But I think that Cleveland has way too many needs for an NFL combine. One of the main topics at Cleveland is, the future of Baker Mayfield. The Browns have a list of issues they need to address. I don't think Baker's in the top 3 of the issues that they need to address. Obviously, a lot of the stuff that was talked about over the combine was the wide receiver position. I've been back and forth on whether or not I think that the Browns should go look for a cheaper, dominant pass rusher. I think you can get an effective pass rusher in the draft with that number 13 pick, and that would be huge so that you don't have to pay that big dollar to go get Jadeveon Clowney. It sounds like the Browns are going to be pretty close to releasing Jarvis Landry. They're not going to pay him that 15 mil or 17, whatever that number was that he was wanting. You don't drop that kind of money on a number 2 wide receiver. He's their best receiver. Doesn't mean he's the number 1 receiver. There is a difference. I could still say this while being appreciative of the culture change that he helped implement by coming to Cleveland. I know people got on me last time saying he didn't come to Cleveland. He was traded to Cleveland. He agreed to be traded to Cleveland because the reason that the Cleveland was willing to make that trade to begin with, and the reason that Jarvis didn't really make too much stink about it, is because they were able to get a sign and trade deal done. It was to be able to get that contract extension done. Jarvis, if he didn't want to sign with Cleveland, he wouldn't have been a part of that sign and trade, whatever. So yes, I give him a lot of credit for what he did coming over here, but I also do think he plays a little bit of a role in his exit out, being a part of the disaster that was last year as well. It doesn't mean that you have to think any more or less about him one way or another. Cleveland's going to have the cap space to do it. There's 2 ways of looking at this. Get a pass rusher for cheap with that number 13 pick, as we talked about, the kid out of Georgia that I really like, or go Chris Olave, go Garrett Wilson. We talked about the kid from the London Drake, the kid from USC, the Arkansas wide receiver is really good as well. You're going to have the pick of one of those 4 is going to end up potentially dropping in your lap at number 13. The reason I could see them saying, you know what, we have to take a wide receiver at number 13 is there's going to be a ton of wide receivers available. It sounds like Cole Beasley is about to force his way out of Buffalo. Okay. It sounds like Amari Cooper is going to potentially be, again, this hasn't been made official, but we've seen some NFL reports come out that the Dallas Cowboys are considering or are going to be releasing Amari Cooper. There are a ton of great pass catchers out there. The Browns are going to have the pick of the litter if they want, but just because there's pass catchers out there doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to come to Cleveland. If you're Amari Cooper, I'd rather go to Green Bay and play with Aaron Rodgers. If you're Amari Cooper, do you want to go play for Baker Mayfield, who I still believe is a very good quarterback in this league, but after what we saw last year, after the Odell Beckham Jr. thing, Odell Beckham Jr. was nothing in Cleveland, was nothing at first when he got to Los Angeles, and then that flip switched in the playoff, and he was the most dynamic playmaker that the Rams had outside of Cooper Kupp. So there is going to be that lingering doubt in the back of the minds of these free agent wide receivers. Just because they're available doesn't mean that Cleveland's going to be able to get these guys. Can they get them to come to Cleveland? That would be a big gamble that Cleveland would have to take if they went defense in the first round of the draft, assuming that they could just go sign guys, and then no one ends up wanting to come to Cleveland. Now you're in a little bit of a pickle now. So I think that the Browns have to at least come away, especially if they do release Jarvis, they have to come away with the playmaker. They have to come away with the pass catcher, whether it's Chris Olave, whether it's Garrett Wilson, whether it's London Drake, whoever. The Browns have to come away with the new piece that they could at least sell to the fans and sell to the offense. We have a dynamic young pass catcher right here to go along with Schwartz, to go along with Higgins. We'll end up seeing what happens. But Njoku, talk of getting a major deal done with him. He's going to have to step his game up. But yes, I just think there's a lot of interesting storylines developing about some of the main pieces that are going to be cut and released and available. But you have to trust that those guys are going to want to come to Cleveland. And I think with everything that happened with OBJ, Kev, even though I don't think it's all Baker, it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what they think. And if they think that it was Baker, I don't see anyone lining up to go play with Cleveland, especially Kev wide receivers. If they sign a one-year deal, like, for instance, Juju Smith-Schuster last year, he had a choice between the Pittsburgh Steelers. He had a choice between who else? The Chiefs and Lamar
Baltimore.
Jackson and the Ravens. Everyone said, man, you go to Baltimore, you're going to be the guy in Baltimore. Man, you go to Kansas City, you're playing with the best quarterback in the National Football League. But he signs with Pittsburgh. Why did he sign with Pittsburgh? That was probably the worst of the 3 options he could have picked. He could have been the number 1 in Baltimore. He could have played alongside the best quarterback in the NFL with Patrick Mahomes. But what Juju Smith-Schuster was wanting was, well, if I'm going to sign a 1-year deal, if it's 1 year, I need to go to a place for 1 year that is going to give me the best opportunity to put my talents on display. Do I go play with Lamar, who there's question marks about how effective he could be as a thrower? I think we want to believe he's a great quarterback. I think he's a great quarterback, of course. I don't think he's the worst by any means, but I think there's that doubt of how good of a passer is Lamar Jackson. Clearly, Juju Smith-Schuster did not want to trust that situation. He moved on. Well, the Kansas City Chiefs, What's Patrick Mahomes? Why wouldn't you go there? Well, you have Travis Kelce. You already have Hill. I'd be the third or fourth option in Kansas City. If I'm going to sign for 1 year, I need my numbers to be through the roof. I need my targets to be through the roof. I need my, how many times the ball's coming, all that. That's why Pittsburgh made sense. I don't think Cleveland makes sense for any wide receiver out there that is looking to try to get that next big contract or to get a contract to where your career can come and maybe kind of dip a little bit if Baker is who everyone thinks he is. The doubters, of course, not a very good quarterback. I think Cleveland has their work cut out for him this offseason.
As a Browns fan, would you want Amari Cooper?
No.
Why not?
Amari shrunk in a lot of big games for Dallas, and of course you could say, well, Dak Prescott shrunk in a lot of big games for Dallas. I think it was a lot of those things. I just, for whatever reason, Amari Cooper, for one, the cap hit too that's going to take. I just don't think I would take Jarvis over Amari Cooper. I think Amari Cooper's better than Jarvis, but I think Jarvis is a better fit for Cleveland than Amari Cooper, and Cooper would be cheap or more expensive. So that's kind of where I'm at as far as that's concerned. Cleveland needs speed guys. Cleveland needs guys that can, stretch the field a little bit. Although Cooper could do that at times. Where was he last year? And last year was a solid year for him. It wasn't great, but man, Dak Prescott threw for a ton of yards, and he wasn't a big part of that. So I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Amari Cooper in Cleveland. I think Cleveland needs to go young. If they're going to go wide receiver in the draft, I'm okay with that. But I think that they need to get a better slot receiver. I think there's some work that they need to do as far as that's concerned.
Fair enough. I like Amari Cooper, especially coming out of college, but his best days were with the Raiders. And then he's never wowed me.
He killed it the first year in Dallas. That 2018 year he was traded. Remember that first? It was it Thanksgiving? He had that 100-yard game. He just went off, and he went off that year. The Cowboys got to the playoffs, of course, but then they disappeared. They didn't make it to the playoffs. I'm sorry, their offense disappeared in that final game against the Eagles. Remember they didn't score. So that was it was hit or miss with him, and that's a lot of money and a lot of investment for a guy that's hit or miss. The Browns have enough hit or miss guys as it is.
So with him being cut, he would basically be a free agent. So what type of deal would you be willing to take him for? A show me deal? So on some 1 year, $8 million situation?
I think he's going to ask for more and probably get more. Well, let me ask you. Who makes more money next year, Jarvis or Cooper?
Amari Cooper.
So I don't think he's going to go to Dallas for $8 million.
Okay.
I just think there's be better options. I think Kansas City could potentially kick the tires there. Cole Beasley interests me.
Yeah.
I like a Cole Beasley only if they draft, let's say, Garrett Wilson or a London Drake. If you get one of those two with the idea that that's your number one wide receiver, and a Cole Beasley to come in with that veteran leadership or experience, if you will, along with Njoku, I just think that there's some options there. I like that route better. If Cole Beasley actually is released or they're talking about trading him, I would like the Browns to target Cole Beasley. I'm a Beasley fan.
Yeah, most of the time when dudes talk about they're going to explore the trade market for a veteran guy, they never get traded. They always end up getting released because people aren't about to come off picks and then have to pick up that contract. You know what I'm saying? They're getting released because of their contract. So another team's not going to pick up that contract. So Amari Cooper, 9 times out of 10, going to be released. Same thing with Cole Beasley.
518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call in and jump in on the conversation. We got Dickie. Dickie, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you, Kevin? How are you? Justin, what's up, buddy?
It's been a while. I appreciate you being patient, buddy. I'm doing great. I hope you're doing well.
Look, as you know, enjoying my retirement, still playing that music,
It's all you can do. It's all you can do.
Yeah, I went out to the place today, Guitar Center. They were jamming a little bit. Tomorrow I got a gig. I got to go Monday, back to the band because I couldn't make it this week. I had to get my taxes, and I'm enjoying this life, Justin.
That's all that you can ask for, buddy. I'm happy for you. But how do you feel about no baseball, at least for the next month at the very least?
I really am. I grew up, actually, in northern Ohio, but I watched with my friend about the last 20 years at Lowe's. I love to watch them on Fox, and, I'm just kind of disappointed. I was hoping they would do good this year. If they play, do you really think, Kevin or Justin, they have a good year?
The Reds?
Yes.
I think they'll have a solid year. I think they'll be about third in the Central. I think they'll be competing for a wild card, and I think that we could expect them to probably fall short of a wild card. But to be fair, I need to wait to see what they do, because once they announce that the season is a go, it's going to be a free agent frenzy. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, and hopefully they go after Castellanos. Maybe they add another big bat, and then I'll feel a little bit better about that. But as of right now, I think they'll be about a 75 to an 80 win team in that range, win just enough series to make you interested, but have enough flaws that don't make you buy in. So I think that's who the Reds will be in 2022.
How about the Indians? You give them any hope?
I think so. I mean, in that weaker division over in the American League, of course, but look, their pitching is always top notch. And in baseball, as long as you have the pitching, even with limited hitting, you'll be fine. They have enough young hitters there. I think, we'll see what they do in free agency as well, but they've been more interested in sending pieces out than bringing pieces in. So we'll see. They've already moved on from Francisco Lindor. They moved on from Bauer. They've moved on from some of their top pitchers. We'll see what they end up doing, but I don't look for them to be a major contender in 22.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking like you. You mentioned Baker signed. How do you think we'll do this year, the Browns? Do you think 9-7, 10-6, or do you think they'll be a contender this year?
Of course. I mean, as long as everything's healthy, and I think that they're actually going to have a better receiving core, but it's kind of a little iffy to say that without seeing how the draft and free agency period is going to pan out. I'll have a clearer idea of what that's going to look like coming up here in the next couple of weeks, but I think they'll be solid as long as Baker's healthy. Baker's not a top 5 quarterback in the league. He's not elite, but my God, they could win. They've proven they could win with them. They've won a playoff game with them, and if he's healthy last year, they're in the playoffs this year. So that's how I view it.
Cincinnati will come back this year and win that division?
Dickie, 0-17. That's my prediction for the Bengals.
Oh, really?
No, I'm joking.
Well, at least we got to, I haven't watched for a while, but the Cavaliers, I'd like to see them go to the playoffs,
Yeah, last thing real quick. So you asked about the Bengals. Dickie, the AFC North next year, the last place team will have 8 wins. Who that last place team is, I don't know. But the last place team will have 8 wins, just like what we saw this year. It's going to be a very competitive division as always. The Cavs, by the way, without Garland and without some of their top guys, I mean, they go out and make that huge trade, of course, and get Karis LeVert. He's out for 2 weeks after the All-Star break and the trade deadline, so they haven't really been able to experience that. They'll make the playoffs, but it's just a matter of how much will this momentum killer, can they come back from it even when they get those guys back? We'll see.
I was thinking, have you heard anything about, I'm going to miss Doug Deacon, who the Browns color commentator is going to be? I voted for either Bernie Kosar,
That would be something. They've done a good job keeping Bernie close to the franchise. He does a lot with them. I don't know if that's the route that he will go. He's done a lot of work in radio over in Cleveland with ESPN Cleveland and stuff. But, Dickie, I vote for you. How about you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be. Hey, one other thing, too. It's kind of neat. They always say, we're going to save it for last, but they say, well, let's get happy now. I'd love to talk to Jimmy and Tony and Doug,
Absolutely. But, Dickie, we're out of time, buddy.
Okay.
Good hearing your voice. Take care.
Take care, buddy.
Have a good weekend, Dickie.
Dickie's going to be the voice of the Browns. Well, let's talk it into existence.
Him. Who should be his running mate?
Who?
Brother.
Yes. Dickie could do play-by-play, and Steve from Springboro could do all the. I mean, he provides great analysis. So Steve from Springboro, the true American. Dick from Dayton, the true American, the new Cleveland Browns broadcasting crew.
I mean, you want to talk about ratings?
I wouldn't turn it off. Browns down 50-0, still not turning it off. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash when we come back.
That ain't no poodle.
Punk ass.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzzed driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely politely like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You can kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says, "I'm a catch," more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Excuse me. I know you have a 9 o'clock, so I'll keep this short. I'm the business suit in the back of your closet. You wore me nearly every day before your office went, quote, casual. I used to be the CEO of your closet. Now I'm just that one intern no one ever talks to. I always thought you'd circle back with me, get granular, keep me in the pipeline. But nada, nothing. Don't you remember the McKittrick presentation? You spilled coffee on me and I still looked amazing during the breakout talkback Q&A. So I think it's time for me to move on. I've got a great resume and I absolutely crush it in interviews, okay? Let's make this a clean break. Shift the paradigm. The only thing I ask is that you think outside the box here and do this. Take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff, create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kenner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
It's the Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
I love drama as much as the next person, and the drama going on with the Arizona Cardinals really interests me, to be quite honest with you. More Kyla Murray talk throughout the combine, not so much about anything combine related, other than just the natural conversation points that come up, especially because a lot of general managers, coaches, owners available for comment during the combine. And a lot was made, of course, with all the ongoing contract dispute. Remember last week, the letter that, or the whatever you want to call it, the PR, whatever, that was released, press release that was released by the agent to Kyla Murray, basically saying, I've done my part. Now it's your job. Now it's your time to do yours, after just wrapping up year 3 in the National Football League, of course, heading into year 4 without a deal being done. Now, we all know rookie contracts, 4-year deals. And, you know, some quarterbacks have their deals done well ahead of time. They can head into their final year of their rookie deal and not have to be worried about, man, what if I get hurt and I'm not in position to really negotiate with leverage for my, first initial contract extension. Trust me, there's a lot of business reasons as to why they should be concerned about that. That's the same reason that a lot of players opt out of bowl games. If this isn't a college football playoff game, I'm going to opt out of it because there is no need risking getting hurt. And although it's meaningful because I can play alongside my teammates, but we're not really playing for anything. If we're playing in a bowl that we have to dump mayonnaise on people's heads, what the hell am I actually doing out here really risking my career for? That's kind of the thought process here. It's not, it hasn't gotten to a point where we've seen someone hold out after only 3 years in the league heading into that 4th year, although that's what we're watching. Kyla, we just saw Lamar Jackson wrap up his 4th year. We just saw him wrap up his 4th year. Of course, we talk about the 5th year, the option, of course, or the tag, whatever you want to call it. Is it 5th year option? So yeah. I'm getting them both overlapped. But so with all that going on in Arizona, the Arizona Cardinals, their front office, when asked for a response to that about, hey, let's get a deal done, Well, the Cardinals were quick to get a deal done, just not with Kyler Murray. The Arizona Cardinals were quick in getting an extension done with head coach Cliff Kingsbury and general manager Steve Keim through the 2027 season. The team announced just 2 days ago. The news came out as the Cardinals are in a public negotiation with their star quarterback Kyler Murray, who wants an extension, Kev, as well, now that he's eligible following his third NFL season. Kingsbury, who signed a 4-year deal when he was hired back in 19, which I feel like, that was last year. No, that was 3 years ago.
Crazy.
Kingsbury was hired in 19, was set to enter the final year of his deal with Arizona. Keim, who also became the general manager years and years ago back in 13, was working for the team since 99. He just signed an extension in 2018 that was set to last through 22. They got him taken care of as well. So their simultaneous extensions keep Kingsbury and Keim linked for at least the next 5 years. And you would think that the quarterback will be a part of that as well. Keep in mind, Kingsbury was brought in to get Kyler Murray.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason Kingsbury is there is because of Kyler Murray. That was the connection there. But now all of a sudden it looks like there could be some bumpy roads ahead. Is Kyler Murray the quarterback of the future for the Cardinals? Well, they've married the coach long-term at least. I mean, you can fire him 2 games in. We've seen that done before. It won't stop him. But was this a little bit of a shot at Kyler Murray that the Cardinals, they could have waited till midsummer. They could have waited another week or two. They waited till now. I don't think it's a coincidence that a few days after Kyler Murray releases this little ransom letter, if you will, I don't think it's a coincidence that the front office shot back and said, all right, we'll get a deal done, just not with you, and got the extensions done with these guys. Is this a little kind of back and forth, or is this just a coincidence in your eyes?
I think it's just a coincidence because not only does Kyler Murray's agent, he represents Kingsbury as well. And the reason he got the job, Kingsbury, that is, because he wanted to get Kyler Murray. So they're kind of like joined at the hip. Like this was a handpicked guy for him, going back to Cliff Kingsbury back when he was at the Texas Tech and everything like that. He said Kyler Murray was the best high school player he'd ever seen, or just loved him and everything like that, was trying to recruit him to Texas Tech. Obviously, he ended up going to A&M and then transferring to Oklahoma and everything like that. So he's hitched his wagon to him and everything like that. So they're kind of like a package deal, not only Kyler Murray and Kingsbury, but the GM as well. Like it's like they put all their eggs in the Kyler Murray basket. So I think eventually they'll get it done, because these deals like this, quarterback extensions, they normally don't happen now. They normally happen after free agency and the draft, because, hey, man, we got to build the team. We got to get the team, and then we'll take care of you, because if we take care of you now, then we won't know what to get. Because we won't have the said dollars. We won't know how to work the budget to get the dollars. So I think he should get a contract extension, but there is a way to go about it. And that letter, man, that letter is just thumbs down on the letter, man. I'm a player's guy, but that was just not tactful. It was short-sighted, and everything like that. I mean, I understand everybody has their own different way of expressing themselves and trying to get their message across and everything like that. Not everybody is Lamar Jackson, who just, we'll work it out, and goes out to practice and just does his thing and everything like that. But every organization is different. We don't know what the Ravens are telling Lamar Jackson and his mom, because they're their own agents and everything like that. That relationship seems to be a lot better than the relationship that's going on between Kyler Murray and his representation. And furthermore, it always seems like players get along with the Ravens. Like, they take care of their guys. Like, Ray Lewis is obviously, he's one of the best linebackers of all time, but he's a Raven through and through. Shannon Sharp, he's a Raven through and through, even though he won Super Bowls with the Broncos and everything like that. It seems like that organization has love for their guys. Even when those guys eventually move on and everything like that, they still have a relationship with them. I mean, Baltimore Ravens still have a relationship with Ray Rice, for goodness sakes. So, and then you look at the Cardinals, it just seems so bumpy right now. And it seems so bumpy. Basically, their season went off the rails when they lost to Green Bay. And then the following week, Kyler Murray got hurt. And that seems to be the issue with Kyler Murray. Starts out blazing hot. Every year, come out the gates blazing. By October, early November, dealing with something. Whether it's a knee, shoulder, hammy, miss a couple games. And he's never able to bounce back from those knick-knack injuries to perform in December and in January like he performs in September and October. So I don't know how you get over a situation like that. I have no idea. You can't prevent somebody from getting hurt. Like, getting hurt is a part of the game. So seems like something that he needs to work out. Like, it's some way for him to, I don't know if you can get tougher. Can you get tougher? I'm not sure if you can get tougher. Like, I just don't know. Like, if you're hurt, right? And your performance isn't what it is earlier in the year when they need you the most later in the year. So that's my whole thing. And those are probably conversations that the management from the Cardinals are having with Kyler Murray and his team. Like, look, man, you're a great player in September and October, but come November, December, you're a jag. You're just another guy throwing skyhook interceptions. We need September, October Kyler Murray all season long.
Yeah, you talk about September, October Kyler Murray and September, October Cardinals. To be fair, is he the only one slumping in those games? No, the defense was giving up more. I mean, they were giving up. They were playing better. The whole team, both sides of the ball plays significantly better in September, October, as we talked about. But in 2020, Cardinals started out 5-2. They finished 3-6. Final, 9 games of the season after that. They missed the playoffs. And then after losing, 2 win and you're in games in the final 2 weeks, the Cardinals started 7-0 this season, but finished the year 4-6, and then were blown out in the wild card round by the Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams. So, with Kingsbury and Kime both receiving extensions, obviously the focus will now shift over to Murray. But usually, I think the reason I found this thing with Kingsbury so interesting is mainly because usually the coach gets more of the blame for these types of slumps down the stretch.
Yeah.
And Kingsbury gets an extension just like that. Like, that's what I found kind of odd. And I'm not saying you have to blame anyone in particular, but it is interesting that the quarterback right away. I mean, this is year 3 for him, and he's gotten better in every year.
Yeah.
He was an MVP candidate the first. When you're 7-0 with a quarterback, he was in every MVP conversation to start. Was not an MVP to finish up. And the thing that the Cardinals are concerned about too is he's wanting to be paid close to that 50 range, and they're like, well, hold on. Right now, you have Hopkins, you have an offensive line, you have all these tremendous defensive pieces. Like, this is the most talented roster that you're going to play on, possibly an even better roster next year. But once we pay you, we're going to be dropping. That's why the Cowboys are dropping Amari Cooper. It's the effect of that Zeke contract. It's that Dak contract. Like, you can't keep these guys. That's why I talk about the Bengals all the time. Like, enjoy it now. Enjoy it while you have Burrow and Chase and Higgins and Mixon and these guys, because you're not keeping all these guys. You're not going to be able to. So that's where the Cardinals are thinking too. This is why the Browns haven't tried to go all in on getting an extension done with Baker Mayfield. I know me and you disagree on this, but there's a reason that the Ravens have not jumped to extend Lamar Jackson, despite how great he is, despite the fact that he's won an MVP. They're saying, man, and their fault, they haven't done the best job of getting him every weapon possible, but now it's kind of hard. It's going to be, if it was difficult to put a weapon around him with him on his rookie contract, how it's going to be even more difficult for you to retain some of the star weapons on the defensive side of the ball and then have enough revenue left or enough cap space left over to add some dynamic weapons. And if you add it after you give him the big dollars, why didn't you give it to him before the big dollars? So it doesn't make sense, but there is a mental side of this that teams kind of kick the ball around a bit and say, well, what are you worth it? Is your talent worth it? Lamar's talent is worth it, but his deficiencies make you second guess whether to go all in, because can you elevate talent around you? That we don't know. Kyler Murray, can you elevate guys around you? You're fading in the most important time of the season in back-to-back years and then getting blown out in the playoffs. I don't understand why he thought he had leverage to begin with, but I give him credit. He's looking out for him. He's looking at all the injuries he's facing. Right. He's looking around the league, but either way, it's going to be interesting. This is that staring contest that I'm curious to see ownership, player side, who's going to win this, who's going to blink first.
Another thing about Kyler, can he use the baseball card again? I mean, they're not playing, though.
Well, he could, at any moment, just say, well, fine, forget you. I'm just going to go play baseball.
But baseball ain't playing itself.
It's going to play eventually. Even if it's not playing this second, he could still say, well, I'm just going to go play baseball. They don't start for another month and a half. That's fine. I have a month and a half to get ready then. But we know how baseball works. He was drafted. The chances of him being ready to play, he's probably a year or two away from being major league ready. Like, let's not act like he wasn't major league ready. He was one of the top prospects. The Athletics, I believe, are the one that drafted the rights to him. But he wasn't. That's the thing about baseball. there's always a Kyler Murray type prospect every year in the baseball draft. You know how long it is before you see them actually crack an actual opening day roster? Kyler Murray, he can go to baseball he wants, but you're still 2 or 3 years away from cracking a major league roster. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. Plus, those baseball players don't get paid anything.
Right. Kyler Murray he'll be 25 in August.
Okay. Not old.
No, but I mean, shoot.
Not young
at
either.
24,
I mean, some quarterbacks are coming in at 21, 22.
Yeah, at 24, you would want to be debuting in the majors, not trying to work your way up to the majors.
All right, folks, 518-1410, 518-1410. Let's talk a little Bengals football. I wanted to do this at the top of the hour. Anytime people are complaining about the Bengals, it's a good day in my book. Evan McPherson's apparently, I don't know what took. I mean, you could tell like there's not a whole lot going on in the sports world, although I think there is, but there's not that heavy, hitting stuff. Evan McPherson is getting criticized for something he did over a month ago. We'll talk about that when we come back.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
O'Reilly. Improve visibility and save money at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Replace your old wiper blades with a new pair of Rain-X Advantage wiper blades and save $10 now at O'Reilly. Our professional parts people will even install them for free. See better and drive safer with new wiper blades from O'Reilly Auto Parts, in store or online at O'Reillyauto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Confession. The only thing I love more than spring itself are the savings I just got at Kohl's. I'm talking 50% off new patio furniture, cute and comfy sandals for under $35, and long sleeve tops for just $11.99. Not only did I earn Kohl's cash, but because I'm a Kohl's Rewards member, I got an extra 25% off too. I mean, extra savings and extra sunlight. Hello, spring.
Select styles, 25% Kohl's Rewards offer ends March 6th. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Want to find out what handheld perfection tastes like? Just stop by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken today for a flawless family feast with the 12-piece strips meal at a great price. Get 12 premium tenderloins that are freshly marinated, honey-dipped, hand-breaded, and cooked to crispy perfection, along with 3 large sides, 6 fluffy biscuits, and 4 of your favorite Lee sauces. This is dippable chicken done right. Get the best in boneless chicken with the 12-piece strips meal at a great price. Only at Lee's, famous for chicken.
Hi, I'm Emmitt Smith, Pro Football Hall of Famer and 3-time champion.
Pro Football's all-time leading rusher Emmitt Smith talks about joint pain.
Trust me, I know about joint pain. Sure, I made it look easy, but if my body could speak, it would say, I'm in pain.
Are you living with chronic joint pain? Knees, hips, lower back, shoulders? Don't just assume the old treatments are the only treatments.
I've gone under the knife to get rid of pain, but now there are options, and you need to check them out.
Emmitt's talking about QC Kinetics, exciting new natural biologic therapies that can repair and restore damaged tissue in your joints. New options now available here.
You can encourage your body to actually heal itself with the help of QC Kinetics.
Real relief with no surgery, no drugs, no downtime. Call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics for regenerative restorative treatments with lasting relief.
But now, you and I, we have help. QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. QC Kinetics, 936-0325.
Ray Magliozzi here. eBay Motors has the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them. And if there's one thing I love, it's great parts and great prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
You want more local content from Dayton's ESPN radio station 1410 Wing AM? Make sure you subscribe to the WING 1410 Dayton YouTube channel, where you can watch all your local shows live or go back and rewatch previous episodes of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, the Keith Byers Show, Talking Out Loud with Sully, and more.
If you're looking to buy or sell your home, give Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty a call today, 937-572-7425. Again, that's Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. I'm excited. First of all, Brad does a kick-ass job. He helped Nora and I buy our very first home, of course. And we did that back at the end of December, heading into January. Maybe not the most ideal time to buy a home as far as being able to really enjoy some of the outside elements of the home. But now that we have this 50-degree weather, the 70-degree weather, we have some friends coming over tomorrow just to go sit on the porch, sit on the patio, sit on the deck. It's a covered deck. I love it. I cannot wait. Smoke my cigars out there, just hanging out there, watch YouTube TV on my iPad. Nora's going to love me because I won't bother her at all. She'll be inside doing her thing. I'll just be outside the whole time.
How's that fence working for you?
The dogs haven't got out yet, and I haven't had to walk the dogs out in the cold, and that's all that matters. So the fence has been top notch. But Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Shout out to Brad. I know he tunes in on a daily basis.
What up, Brad?
So the music we use to come back, of course, all this music, by the way, is always real popular, but these particular songs have really kind of shot up the charts again after the amazing halftime show, of course. Dr. Dre, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, Kendrick Lamar. Did I miss anybody?
50, Snoop.
There was, how did I forget Snoop?
Yeah.
50 is fine, but Snoop, and I like 50. I'm just saying, but like Snoop, I don't know. I feel bad. I'm sure he's really upset. I'm sure he's so upset.
I know he's tuned in.
Yeah, he'll just smoke and get over it. He's numb to the pain. So, the Super Bowl was 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago. And for whatever reason, this story from the Super Bowl is coming back out. I was critical of Joe Burrow. Shocker, I know. Oh, my gosh. Oh, Kinner's critical of Joe Burrow. I did not think it was a good look whatsoever that an hour after the Super Bowl ended, that the quarterback is up on stage with Kid Cudi just looking like he doesn't have a care in the world, that he's enjoying himself. And I'm not saying he shouldn't enjoy himself. I'm not saying any of that, but optics matter. And here's the deal. If we're talking about players doing this on other teams that are not yours, you guys understand where I'm going with this. It's really not that hard. If the Miami Dolphins or any other team was in the Super Bowl then lost, and an hour later there's video circulating of their quarterback up on stage just without a care in the world, looking like, I'm like, that's what a guy that the star quarterback of a team that just lost a Super Bowl, that's what he looks like. That doesn't look all that painful. That doesn't look like he's that miserable. Not that I'm rooting for him to be miserable, but like the one thing that we always think that we can connect with athletes on is the fact that we want to win, and when we don't win, when our teams don't win, that we are all feeling it together. And I'm not saying he didn't feel anything. I'm not saying he wasn't upset about the Super Bowl loss, but it doesn't matter on how he actually felt. It matters on how it looks like he felt, because that's the world we live in. It doesn't matter what everything is. It's based on optics, and the optics aren't good. And you are told on a daily basis, don't put yourself in a position that's going to make you, that's going to put you in a position that's going to draw criticism. And the intent does not matter 99% of the time. If you look like you're a guy that doesn't care about the fact that your team just lost a Super Bowl, you're going to be criticized. Well, that's not who we're talking about here, but I do think that was a big deal. This is so. The Cincinnati Bengals special teams coach, Darren Simmons, he was asked about the video that circulated at the halftime show. So when you're listening to the halftime show and you're just, you're vibing, if you will. All right. Watching the Super Bowl, because I wasn't fortunate enough to be there. There was a shot of Evan McPherson on the sidelines. The rest of the team is in the locker room. But there's Evan McPherson, the kicker, the real MVP of the playoffs for the Bengals. I'm just going to be 1,000,000% honest with you. Not even 14 of 14, single-handedly scored more than 50% of the team's points. I mean, that's not a kicker. That is the kicker. I'm an Evan McPherson fan. Straight up. So he's on the sideline. He's not in the locker room. It's halftime. It's a Super Bowl. Most Super Bowls, most halftimes for any game, Kev, what, 15, 20 minutes?
Yeah, 20 minutes.
It's 20 minutes, okay? Super Bowl halftime is 45 freaking minutes. I've never understood how the biggest game with the most stakes on the line, how you take two teams, premier athletes, the biggest game of the year, and you throw a wrench into their typical routine by making them wait 45 minutes because of a halftime show, which I love, by the way. I love the halftime show. He's out there on the sideline, Kev. Not a good look.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm talking about, like the national headlines that have stemmed from this. What's interesting is that everything that they're saying about the optics of this, how it's not really that big of a deal, but the optics don't look good. Basically, the exact same point I made about Joe Burrow. Bengals fans, again, they're furious that McPherson is being criticized today. Now, the reason he's being criticized is because Darren Simmons was asked about McPherson being on the sidelines. Darren Simmons responded with, "That's a sore subject. That's a real sore subject." More reports have come out that it is actually not sitting well with the front office of the Cincinnati Bengals. What are you going to do? You're going to cut him? Then what? Unless Joe Burrow can kick field goals. That's the dude that you take the field goals out. Your quarterback was averaging 14 points a game throughout the playoffs. You really want to do that? This dude's as important. This dude deserves the same shield that your star quarterback got when an hour after the Super Bowl loss, he didn't have a care in the world. He just cared about hanging out with his celebrity friends. So no, I'm actually beyond annoyed that it took 3 weeks before someone decided to take this story and run with it. I'm annoyed that the Bengals are annoyed because if you're not going to give a rip in the world about your quarterback, who was not as good as people thought he was during that playoff run, just an hour after a loss, be up there with Kid Cudi, but your kicker, who everyone makes fun of kickers, you say the kickers don't matter. You guys say, oh, the kickers aren't really part of the team. I've heard Keyshawn, I've heard Bart Scott, I've heard all these guys all the time making fun of kickers. They're not really part of the team. They practice separately. When the coach is yelling at us and making us run, the kickers don't even have to run half the time to be penalized for the team mistakes. So now all of a sudden the kicker's part of the team. Now all of a sudden Evan McPherson should be held to the same standard as everybody. Bull-o-knee. I'm just saying, like, this is ridiculous. I'm defending McPherson. I have no dang problem with it because as long as nobody gave two rips about your star quarterback not caring at all about a Super Bowl loss, I don't care that McPherson was out there. You do nothing, folks, but rip kickers all the time. I'm here to tell you that this is the real MVP of the Bengals this playoff run, along with the defense, of course. I have no problem with McPherson being out there at halftime. Kev, your turn.
Completely on the other side. Have absolutely no problem with Joe Burrow going to a party after the Super Bowl because the game is over. The reason there's a problem with McPherson is because the game is still going on. Like, we could be making adjustments. We could be doing everything. We could be designing an onside kick like the Saints did versus the Colts. It could have been 1,000,001 different things going on. But the most important part is the game is still going on. The 60 minutes of the game is still happening. Once the game is over, the game's over. Go live your life. Like, if that's going to cry in the shower or if that's going to a party, it doesn't change the fact that you played the game and it's over. But McPherson, game's still on. That's why
it wasn't going on. It was halftime. It wasn't happening. Kevin, it was halftime. I've never seen Snoop Dogg perform on the field in the middle of a game. They were off the field.
Never been to a USC game.
Oh man, but I'm Team McPherson on this one. No, in all seriousness, it's all about the optics. You can talk this away and say it's really not that big of a deal, but again, it's all about optics. Was the kicker being out there that big of a deal? No. How long did it take the coaches to notice that he wasn't in there? That's what I want to know. How long?
They probably didn't notice until the picture came out.
And that's my point. Oh, so it must not have been that big of a deal then. So that's the problem I have with it. So again, the Joe Burrow thing, is it really that big of a deal? No. But I would like to think, as a fan of a team, that if my team lost, I mean, think about how you fans felt after that Bengals loss. You guys were miserable. You were sick to your stomach. You couldn't sleep. You couldn't eat. For weeks later, I'm still seeing things on social media that, man, every time I see a clip of the Bengals in the Super Bowl, it brings it all back. The pain all comes back again. An hour after, your quarterback's up there, not with a care in the world. Care in the world. It doesn't matter if he really had a care in the world. It just looked like he didn't. And optics matter. That's all that matters. That's the world we live in. It doesn't matter. We can't change the world. We could try to talk about changing the world and changing how it doesn't work that way. So if people aren't going to get on Burrow, I'm not going to allow people to get on McPherson. I'm Team McPherson, the real MVP of the Cincinnati Bengals Super Bowl run. Leave my kicker alone. I'm jealous. Feel like, oh, you're jealous because you don't have Joe Burrow. Man, I'm jealous because we don't have Evan McPherson. That's who I'm jealous about. I'll
rank them this way. The bonehead that got a penalty during the game that was not dressed for the game, he's number one. He's number one without a doubt. He's the number one bonehead. The number two bonehead, the kicker, because the game is still going on. And low on the totem pole for me is Joey B, because the game was over. So I think we can agree, at least the guy that got the penalty that wasn't even dressed for the game is the number one doofus here, right?
I mean, without a doubt. Don't do no deflection here, Kev.
There's no deflection. I just said I was giving my rankings about the bonehead situation.
You don't get to shank that kick. All right, I'm just saying. No. No. But Darren Simmons not happy. This article by Jay Morrison with The Athletic says that it's clear from talking to head coach Zach Taylor and director of player personnel Duke Tobin and several others that, at the combine, that they weren't very happy about the McPherson situation. I'm like, it's being talked about by everybody. And I'm just like, and by the way, coaches have the right to be annoyed with that. Yes, he should have been, in all seriousness, he should have been in the locker room. I don't care if you are the last player added to if you were a late addition to the roster due to injuries and whatnot, and you've been a part of the practice squad. You haven't really been a part of the team all year. I don't care if you've had nothing to do with practice. You have no chance of going into the game. You need to be in there. Team personnel, everybody. I know it's Snoop. I know it's Dre. I know it's all that. You got to be. You got to be in the locker room. It's the Super Bowl, man. But what's the likelihood of us ever getting to see, Snoop again? But what's the likelihood of Bengals getting back to the Super Bowl? That much. So get back in the locker room. Be there with your teammates. McPherson deserves to be criticized here. In all seriousness, I like to have fun with the Burrow thing. The optics don't look good. I do know. To be fair, if the Browns, I'm not joking here, the Browns get to a Super Bowl and lose, and Baker an hour later is at some concert and he's up laughing, joking, and all that stuff. Oh, I'd be ticked. I'd be on this same mic with the same lines this time about him. That's just how I am. Cam Newton, I defended when Cam Newton lost that Super Bowl years ago. Everyone ripped him for how he talked to the media. Mm-hmm. I didn't. I said, that's real. I said, what that showed me right there was that's a guy that this game meant absolutely everything to him. And now you're asking him stupid questions. And now he just got he's mentally just ticked off. Yeah. You just lost the Super Bowl. I want more Cam Newton post Super Bowl than Joe Burrow post Super Bowl. An hour later up on stage with Kid Cudi, no care in the world. And Cam Newton got ripped because he was rude to a reporter. Yes, because he just lost the biggest game of his career. And you're asking him to, well, tell me why you suck today. Of course he's going to be angry because he cares. He cares. That's why. That's the difference right there. Like, well, most people get mad at, oh man, he's a sore loser. No, all of us, in our most heated moments, we're usually heated because we're passionate about something. We're going to say and do things that we at times might regret, right? Mm-hmm. That was Cam Newton. I had no issue with what Cam Newton that day. I remember I'm not even a Cam Newton fan. I defended the hell out of him in that situation because I said that's exactly how you, me, everyone else, us common folk would respond if we had a chance to play in a Super Bowl, all eyes on us, the biggest game of the year, and we come up short, not knowing if you'll ever get back. And he hasn't got back. That all goes through these players' heads. Now, you could flip it. Say, well, Joe Burrow's so confident. He's like, we'll be back. Maybe that's the case. Maybe they will be. Maybe they win it this coming up year. But until then, I'm always going to bring this up because I've seen quarterbacks, how they act after a Super Bowl loss. I haven't seen any of them up on stage at a party an hour later, and it's all about optics. That's all. This was about the kicker, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just making sure.
Vernon Hargraves is the cornerback that got the penalty. That was addressed for the game. You got to find $6,000 too, man.
So Mark Smith says trash. Explain, Mark. I don't know if it took you that long to sound out how to spell that word and you just couldn't have time to put more words there. Explain. What's trash? I want to hear what's trash. Me, my take, both, all of it. I'm just curious. What's trash? I miss football season. Damon Hahn on Facebook, Kev, says, I hate Joey B with Kid Cudi, and I love McPherson watching the halftime show. If you want me to rank which one's more concerning, no, I still got to go because it's the quarterback. You're the face of the franchise. But to Kev's point, it is after the game. And it is after the game. The game is over. Okay. We all cope in different ways and all that stuff. Okay, fine. I can try.
Look at this guy growing right before our eyes.
Now forget that, man. Forget that. Where's that stupid outfit he had on heading into the Super Bowl? How come he didn't have that on? Anyways, that's besides the point. Point is, I have to disagree, Damon. I think that the kicker in the middle, forget that it's a kicker. Any player.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's T. Higgins. I don't even care if it was Joe Burrow at halftime out there.
Oh, no.
That's a no-no. And to be fair, this speaks volumes about McPherson. The only reason we're talking, McPherson's a stud. He's a star. You can't name that many kickers in the league. McPherson's a household name right now. And the only reason it's a big deal is because it was McPherson. If he was a backup kicker or a no-name kicker or a nobody, this isn't being brought up, right? This isn't being brought up. So that also says a lot about who he is as a player as well, not labeling him by the position he plays. McPherson's a somebody, so you're holding him to a standard of, hey, you're one of the main cogs on this wheel that helped get us here. I expected a little more out of you. I have no problem with him being criticized for it at all. So I disagree with that, Damon. I haven't making my jokes and having fun with it, but I think the kicker being out there or the player in general being out there at halftime while his team's in at the Super Bowl in a tight game with a lot going wrong and stuff's going your way, I thought that was a bad look really on both, to be fair. So,
yeah.
Bitter Browns fan broadcast says Willie B. Or says Willie E. Sorry, Willie B is we know Willie B.
Yes,
Willie E. Willie E says, when was the last time the Browns won the AFC? I'll help you. Never. Why do they do that, Kev? Why? Why is it if I'm critical of their team, they like, because they know I'm right? You know how I know I'm right on these criticisms? Because you never say I'm wrong. The only thing you guys ever do is say, oh yeah, well, what about the Browns? Where were the Browns? Oh, they were sitting at home watching this. Why is that the only argument you guys have? You guys never have any like intelligent counterpoints as to why it's okay with what he did, or yeah, I agree, because heaven forbid you be any little bit, tiny bit critical of anyone in your team. It drives me crazy. Anyways, it is what it is. So let's see. Mark Smith says your take is trash. How is my take trash? Because I'm being critical of someone that you have a weird band crush on? What? Why is that trash? Well, I don't think your take is trash. So why do you got to call names and be all typical Bengals fan? Trash. That's the Bengals fans. Trash. That's the typical response you get. Schwederman says Hargreaves should have been cut at halftime without a ticket home. Embarrassing. Hargreaves should have been the one out there watching the Super Bowl.
Right. I mean,
they wouldn't even let him in the locker room at halftime.
Enjoy the show.
So, so Willie says, am I wrong? No, you're not wrong. You're right. I don't care if the Browns don't get to a Super Bowl for the next 100 years. It's not going to stop me from ever being critical. I'm going to be 101 years old with my teeth falling out, not even remembering who I am probably. I'll still be critical of Joe Burrow. And Joe, you guys will probably have 4 quarterbacks, 5 quarterbacks, 7 quarterbacks removed from him. And I'll still remember that guy back in 2021. Yeah, that guy with the stupid Hamburglar outfit. Yeah, I'm just saying. Some guy says, get over it, Mark. That's a trash take. He's talking about Mark's trash take, not me.
Oh, I was like,
some guy. I'm a hypocrite, by the way. I contemplated blocking some guy one time because he was being mean to me, but I've made it a point. I don't block people. I don't. I get close to, and I'm like, no, if I dish it, I got to be able to take it. So I came close. But then when some guy and I agree on stuff, then I'm like, oh, some guy, this some guy, he's somebody, man. Like, he's cool. And then he disagrees with me. I'm like, you're just some guy. You're just nobody. So whatever. Dean McDonald, why doesn't anybody have a problem with Clark Harris being on the field? Also, was he on the field also, Dean? I'm not disagreeing with you. Was Clark Harris on the field?
Was he?
I'm just asking, Dean. I didn't know he was on the field.
I didn't see that.
Dean says the kicker also has one job. Well, technically everybody has one job unless you work for Alpha Media. So I'm just saying, like, it is what it is. Let's see.
So what they're saying is that he was trying to go out there early and practice kicking because Harris is the long snapper. Is that what they're trying to say? They're trying to give a reason.
I'm also getting this because
that means a holder had to be out there too, right?
Yeah.
So the punter, the kicker, like now if the punter, kicker, and holder are out there, you got something to work with. You can be like, well, we were just going out there to be ready to start getting up some warm-up kicks. You have something, but if you're just sitting on the bench, smiling, hands out, enjoying the show, like you're caught red-handed.
So, and then with that, so Steve Keaton on Facebook says, isn't it normal for kickers to stay on the field during halftime? That I don't know. See, this is what I'm talking about. Like, this is actually speaking volumes about who Evan McPherson is. Like, I think if this was any other kicker, that's not Justin Tucker, that's not, you know what I mean? Like, that's not one of the main kickers in the league. Evan McPherson is a dude. And because Evan McPherson is so highly touted, I think that's why this is a big deal. If he was just another kicker, if he was just a bad kicker, the only time we talk about kickers in the Super Bowl is that they won you a Super Bowl or they missed a bunch of field goals that lost you a Super Bowl. So that's how you know you're somebody, because we're talking about him. I think that a lot of players could have been out there. We're only talking about McPherson because he's an actual star. So I think it speaks volumes about how good he is as far as that's concerned. Dean McDonald says that the news story says that Clark Harris at least hid from visibility. Yeah, see, you could cheat.
Smart.
But yeah, you're not in trouble for being out there. You're in trouble for getting caught. It is what it is. I've always thought that too. That's such a cool Super Bowl halftime show that was built up. And the players are saying it too. You think that they don't want to be out there watching it? Like, I mean, I know no one feels bad for, oh, boo-hoo, you're in the Super Bowl. Who cares? But like, yeah, like it's natural emotion right there. Like wanting to be out there. But like, Why aren't you that locked into the game that you're more worried about the Super Bowl halftime show than you are where your team is at right now, currently in the Super Bowl? So it goes both ways. But if I'm a kicker, I feel bad for the kickers, man. All they do, they bust their ass to be as good as they are at what they do. And then all they deal with all the time is people telling them, you're not really part of the team. You're just a kicker. You're nobody. Blah, blah, blah. You're nobody until you miss a kick. And then everyone comes at you, right? So
go win the game, man.
So you know what? McPherson, good for you. Because like I said, Evan McPherson, he was the real MVP for the Cincinnati Bengals in that Super Bowl run. He was you should have got all the credit, and he got hardly anything. Now we're going to talk about him being outside of the halftime show. Unreal. More of the Justin Kinder Show with Kev. By the way, 518-1410. I mean, come on, Mark Smith. Another, I see a lot of people disagree. 518-1410. All right, instead of just typing in trash and calling names and being a child, bring your childish takes to the air. 518-1410. We'll be back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be partly cloudy, a high near 50. Tonight's going to be mostly cloudy, a low near 38. And tomorrow's going to be mostly cloudy and very windy, but a high near 75. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
You could save big when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, but when we just come out and say it, it feels like it falls a bit flat. So we're going to sing it.
We're singing words now.
We'll even sing the business part.
Save big when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive.
Now, that's a commercial you'll remember, even if you don't remember the bundle and save with Progressive part.
We're singing that commercial.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discount not available in all states or situations.
This is the end of the jingle. A jingle about insurance.
My sign is a potential customer's first impression, so it needs to be perfect.
It's possible at Staples.
There are 4 other bakeries within 5 blocks of here. My shop needs to stand out.
Also possible. With Staples print and marketing services, small businesses can print big with wide format signs and banners. Right now, get $10 off custom printed signs, banners, and posters when you spend $50 or more. Create your sign at Staples, the working and learning store. Ends 3/26. Visit staples.com/signage for details.
I need 4 more of the biscuit carnitas, 2 burnt end platters, 3.
The kitchen at Kai's Barbecue is firing on all cylinders.
Greg, help me bring these to the pickup counter.
He needs food runners who can hit the ground quickly.
86 on the chicken and we're short-staffed. Let's pick it up.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
This is a metaphor for your business's journey. Sometimes it feels like the course keeps changing right before your eyes. And in order to maneuver it, you need an expert by your side. That's what Dell Technologies advisors do. They have the Windows PC and tech solutions you need to help you get out in front and stay ahead of the game. Call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL. A start to a simpler experience with Windows 11 Pro.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only 2 places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kinder Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers.
TrackPhone wants to know, are you an influencer? A big live streamer? No? Then guess what? You don't need an endless data plan. Get just the right amount of data with TrackPhone's $40 unlimited talk and text smartphone plan. Now with 8 gigs of high-speed data and unlimited carryover on America's largest, most dependable network, now with 5G. Get the data you need at the price you want. TrackPhone Wireless. Now you're in control. Available at major retailers. 5G compatible device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. See terms and conditions at TrackPhone.com.
At the Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission, we help veterans and their dependents navigate the process of applying for benefits administered by the VA. We can assist with VA claims, pensions, and a variety of benefits, including emergency financial assistance, transportation, and legal services. If you are a veteran or a spouse of a veteran, a wide range of services may be available to you, always at no cost to the veteran. We are honored and proud to serve all Miami Valley veterans. Contact us today at 937-225-4801.
We're out of the brand name, but we do have the generic version of
Serene's Pharmacy can't keep up with allergy season.
Who's next in line?
They need certified technicians to alleviate the headache.
Ma'am, I'm so sorry for the wait. We'll have your prescription filled soon. I need some help.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
It can be dangerously easy to steal your identity during tax season because so much sensitive info is all together.
Before we start the annual meeting of Sean's personal info, has anyone seen Social Security number? Not me. Nope. Nuh-uh. Oh, no. He's been stolen.
LifeLock by Norton makes it easy to help protect yourself. If you become a victim, we'll work to fix it. No one can monitor all transactions, but you can save up to 25% off your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Identity theft protection starts here.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Ray Magliozzi here. eBay Motors has the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them. And if there's one thing I love, it's great parts and great prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Byers Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, we are back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash. Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM, 518-1410. That's the number to call in and jump in on the conversation. Let's see. Mark Smith says he disagrees with my opinion. And then some guy says, I don't think he seeks your approval, Mark. You're just some guy. It's like, first of all, yes, I do. I mean, technically kind of seek approval. Have to seek approval. It's called ratings. So I definitely seek your approval. But what I don't seek is being called trash just because I say something you don't like. Imagine being at a grocery store and you hear someone talking to the next aisle and they're saying, man, I'm just not a fan of that Joe Burrow guy. And you yell, trash. Why do we do that on here? I don't get it. Well, Kinner, why do you call him a moron? Well, because I'm a child and you called me a trash first. So that's, I mean, it's really as simple as that. But right, think about everywhere. And some people do that, by the way. You at a grocery store, you at a restaurant, the table next to you, hear them talking sport. Man, Baker Mayfield, I think he's the best quarterback in the AFC North. You're an idiot. Can you imagine? That's how Mark Smith and some of these dudes act. I do not understand at all why people find that that's okay. Like, I don't understand it whatsoever. Yeah. Like, just say, like when Mark said, okay, I disagree with your take. That's super. You're allowed to disagree with it. What you're not allowed to do is come back and say trash, one word. And it's so passive aggressive because it's not even a capital T and doesn't even put a period at the end. It's just trash. Trash. So disgusted because you disagree. Well, that's the world we live in. We've lived in that world for a long time. But disagree with me, trash. I'm saying trash because I can't say all the other words that I'm called half the time. But, it is what it is.
I got the dump button ready.
It doesn't work. That's the big old question.
We're going to find out.
But no, look, so this whole thing about Evan McPherson now, and again, the special teams coach for the Bengals, I guess not today or yesterday at the Combine, was asked about McPherson being on the sideline during the Super Bowl, said it's a very, very sour subject with the organization. The coaches are not happy about it, and there's still people internally who are very unhappy about it. Super. You're unhappy about it. What's that mean? What are you going to do? You going to cut him? I dare you. That ain't going to happen. Not even being considered. So whatever. This isn't a storyline. The fact that it's being brought up in March right now, just shows that we're waiting for free agency. We're waiting for Selection Sunday in the NCAA tournament. We're waiting for baseball. But now we're talking about McPherson and something he did 3 weeks ago. And I have a problem with any player that's not in the locker room at halftime because they're out screwing off at watching the halftime show, even though it's a very good halftime show. I understand why he wants to be out there. That's not how sports works. It's not how it works. It's not how anything works. I mean, it's strange to me. My take on Burrow, I don't care. I'll double down on that one. I don't like the optics. Is he doing anything wrong? And by the way, had he done that and there was no video proof of him doing that, then you wouldn't have a problem with it, Kidder. That's what I'm getting at. You're right, because I hadn't seen it and I wouldn't know about it. But I know about it, so my opinion is based on what I now know. So I'm pointing out the hypocrisies, and like a guy like Cam Newton, who immediately, having to address the media right after losing a Super Bowl was so distraught, was so tore up, was so angry and upset that, he lashed out at the media. And then everyone said, oh, you're a sore loser. You can't lose like that. You can't. Well, what's the appropriate way to lose? Because I like Cam Newton's attitude way better than Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow appears that he didn't care about the loss because an hour later he's up on stage with Kid Cudi. And then Cam Newton is so distraught, can't even answer questions from the media, was so angry, so upset. I like that guy. I like the guy that actually shows that, man, he is so tore up that his team lost a game, that his team lost the biggest game of his career. That's tough. That's all. Did Joe Burrow do anything wrong? No. Did Evan McPherson do anything wrong? No, not technically. But again, it's all about the optics. The optics are that Evan McPherson doesn't care about the game. He doesn't care about his team. He doesn't care about winning. He cares more about everything else going on. Do you think that's actually the case, Kev? No. I don't think that. Joe Burrow, do I actually believe that he doesn't care about losing? No, not even in the slightest. I know how super competitive that dude is, but it doesn't matter. Because it's all about optics. It's the same reason that the people that are complaining about McPherson, same reason I'm complaining about Burrow. It's all about the optics. The optics don't look good. Do I actually think that these players go home and get in the fetal position and just cry themselves to sleep? No, I don't think that at all. I think a lot of guys go out and they go partying with friends and they go drinking after a Super Bowl and they try to take their mind off of it and celebrate a good season and all that. I think that that's what happens. However, it's all about optics. It's all about optics. I talked to Keith Byers about that. I said, hey, of course, I got to get better at how I phrase questions to him because he looked at me like he's about to backhand me. I go, hey, you're perfect at this. You lost the Super Bowl. And he just glared at me across. I was like, sorry, Keith. There was probably a much better way to start that question. Because I got all excited because I was like, wait, you're the perfect person. I was like, hey, you've lost the Super Bowl. And he goes, thanks. I always enjoy a day that someone has to remind me of that. And I'm like, that's what I'm here for.
Oh, my goodness.
But he said, no, that every team does have an after party, if you will.
Yeah.
And he goes, they went to theirs. But he did say, he goes, no one's really, they might be just kind of lightly laughing with friends. He goes, but the mood, he goes, it's horrible that you put all these people in a room to try to celebrate the Super Bowl itself, but you just lost. And he goes, no, it wasn't a good feeling in there. He goes, no one's really upbeat. It's just kind of, all right, let's just, cheers, everyone. Congratulations. I'm going to go home and whatever.
Yeah, because you want to be playing, because you have to plan as if you're going to win.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like how the NBA is, where it's a series where, all right, man, we're going to play this thing out. Best of 4 victories gets it and everything like that. Or in some cases, they win championship and like, the Miami, they can simply just go to a jumping party on South Beach or, jump a plane and go to Vegas like the Cleveland Cavaliers did and the Golden State Warriors did and everything like that. It's not that easy. In the NFL, you got to kind of plan this if you're going to win, but not that you put all this money into having performances and alcohol and music and everything like that. The show must go on.
There's a reason that there are I don't know where these shirts are, but there are Cincinnati Bengals Super Bowl champion shirts somewhere.
Yeah.
They've been printed. They were ready to be handed out. Those shirts are handed out immediately after the game. And where do those shirts go? I mean, you see the memes on Facebook, whatever, but
that's something that they do now in the NBA. Like, they used to print both team shirts, like in the early 90s and everything like that. But with technology, with printers so fast the way they are now, they don't start printing them until a team hits 3 victories. Like, all right.
And I wonder how many Falcons Super Bowl shirts there are from 2018.
How many Golden State Warriors?
Oh, you mean the NBA because the series and stuff, so it's a little bit more, precise. But 518-1410, thoughts on McPherson, thoughts on Burrow. I think McPherson's a little bit more front and center because, as Kev said, it's in the middle of a game. But like I said, it's kind of all the same thing, But for me, I prefer the Cam Newton approach of, when I tune in to watch him and I see how distraught and angry he is, I can relate to that because I'm upset and angry too that my team lost the Super Bowl. But if I'm a Bengals fan and I'm upset and distraught and angry about the loss, and then I see my quarterback who's smiling up on stage, not caring at all, I'm like, what the heck, man? And by the way, there are people that do think that way and that will feel that way. And Kev, let me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
If it was Baker Mayfield an hour after a Super Bowl loss, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong that he would not be getting destroyed in the media. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're probably right.
Yeah. No,
probably
come
right.
on, just take it. Just take the probably out.
Would I care?
I know you don't, Kev.
I don't care too much about anything. Like, you lost. You're partying now. You lost an hour ago. Let's party, baby.
518-1410. Kev, who we got?
We have Mark Smith on the line.
Oh,
enjoy it. Yeah, I'll be back in like 45 minutes.
What up?
This should be good.
What up, Mark?
Hey, how you doing today, Justin?
See, why do you do that? Why are you nice and cordial on the phone, but in Facebook you're a tough guy? As Steve from Springboro says, phone brave. You just say I'm trash in the comment section, but on the phone you try to be all buddy.
I always call you. You know it. No, hey. Joe Burrow was on stage because he didn't want to worry about night terrors after that game.
So that helped him sleep. Is that what you're saying?
You might not get that one, but that's in a Kid Cudi song. Evan McPherson, he was just hoping to see a Tupac hologram, man. Everybody.
As we all were.
And I still don't know if Tupac was actually on top of the stadium at the end of the game, the end of their at the show. Everybody said they've seen it, but I didn't see it.
Well, listen, they were all getting that secondhand high from old Snoop Dogg, taking a couple puffs right before going on stage. Let's just be real. So everyone was just seeing.
I think McPherson should have been in the locker room with his teammates. I do.
I do too. I don't think it should be as big a deal as what it is right now with making the rounds. I wish the coach wouldn't even have said anything. He should have just said, yeah, that's been talked about in house, and then off you go. But I thought that the coach throwing him under the bus like that was kind of wrong. Your thoughts on that? Like, don't you think the coach should have just said, yeah, we talked about that with him and that's being handled in house, and no one would have talked about it. But by saying it's such a, it's a touchy subject within the organization, I'm like, really? How about that offensive line? That's a touchy subject in that organization. Nobody throwing your kicker under the bus like that. I thought was wrong.
That's what he should have said. Yeah, we're talking to McPherson a little bit about this, but we're working on our O-line right now. That's all he needed to say. I mean, come on. Your problem wasn't your kicker all year long. That wasn't the problem. So, I mean, I want Kevin, if he gets a chance to make a little 2-minute of you talking about how the Bengals will not get an O-line that's coming up, and just in case you are wrong, that way we can, you know what I'm saying?
Well, if they do, it'll be produced. If the Bengals come through and get some free agent offensive linemen and draft some nice, talented offensive linemen and produce next season and protect Joe Burrow, it will happen. It will play.
I don't believe you.
And on the same side,
I will produce it myself.
If Burrow doesn't produce after getting an O-line, then hey, all that time, Justin was right.
Hashtag Kenner was right.
Oh, goodness.
You want to talk about T-shirts, Mark. You want to talk about some T-shirts. That's a T-shirt right there. Hashtag Kenner was right.
No, when I said your opinion was trash, all I'm really meaning was like,
There's really not a whole lot of other meanings, Mark. I mean, you could try to talk yourself out of it. There's really not a whole lot. If I go to someone and say trash and they get mad, I can't say, what are you mad at? I didn't mean it like that. Like, what are you talking about, Mark?
I'm not, and I'll never take an opinion of some guy because anybody hides like that. It's just to me that has no opinion matters.
Well, and then some guy he interests me. He used a female emoji on his last post to you. By the way, I thought that was interesting. Very cryptic. I'm not sure.
I don't know. But anyways, no. Hey, great show. I love listening to you guys. You get me a little riled up once in a while, so I gotta say something. I did. So.
Since you're on the air, do you want to tell Kev some of the nice things you said about me in the night of the loss when I changed my picture to the Rams logo? You were pissed. You can't even lie. Don't you dare lie and say I knew you were joking. You made that. You said some of the meaner stuff on the page that night. I'm just warning you.
No, I don't. I was 10 feet tall and bulletproof.
I believe. Yeah, never mind. All right, Mark. Take care.
Hey, you guys have a great one. Bye.
Later, man.
518-1410. That's the number to call in and jump in on the conversation. But yeah, is what it is. That's all that matters at this point. It's the optics. The optics are what they are. But like, you hear me out with that too. Like the coach, I feel like his coach threw him under the bus. I have no clue why he had to answer. And I didn't even think about that before the show. I don't have that in my notes. But as we're talking about this, I'm like, the only reason we are talking about it to this extent is because the way that the coach answered it. When he was asked about Evan McPherson being on the sideline at the Super Bowl during the halftime show, he says that's a sore subject. That's a real sore subject. I think that's a sorry answer. And this is, of course, Darren Simmons, the special teams coach for the Bengals, replying to the question about Evan McPherson. Kev, I thought that was a poor answer. I don't care if it is a sore subject. I don't think that you've thrown your kicker under the bus. Now we're not talking about the 14 for 14 and the perfection that was Evan McPherson throughout this Super Bowl run. Now all that we're going to remember is the fact that their coach is so upset with him because what? So the team that cares so much about the feelings of the trash offensive line, okay? They're going to tell you, well, that offensive line got us to a Super Bowl. Well, why'd you say that? Well, they have to. They can't upset. They don't want to hurt the feelings of their current offensive linemen. So you care more about the feelings of your trash offensive line than the kicker that was the real MVP of the Super Bowl run, 14-14, just pure perfection. Okay, you're more upset with him. So you have no problem throwing him to the media wolves. Me being a wolf, I'm more like a little mini hyena that hadn't eaten in a while. But you see the point. Yeah, poodle. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, man. That's you just enter that by saying, we talked to him and we're moving on to Cincinnati. You know what I'm saying? We're moving on to next year. Now he knows, and now we're moving on. But I thought that the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line coach Frank Pollock had some things to say at the combine as well, right?
I will look.
I'm almost positive. I'm going to find
Gotta go to work, dude. And that ain't no poodle bark, punk asses.
There you go.
Got it.
Message from the true American. There you go. All right, we'll step away for a few moments. No, I did not see that. Did Frank? I will pull up Frank Pollock's comments at the combine as well. The combine, Kev, I still think it's pointless. I really do. But good for the NFL. They take something pointless and maximize it. But I'm watching it and I'm like, I don't understand any of this. Like, why does this matter? It doesn't. It doesn't matter. It's really annoying to me. But anyways, it's a chance to get to see those guys.
Well, it matters for me. If I was a person that's watching it and everything like that, and I'm an NFL scout and everything like that, I want to make sure everything I'm seeing on tape, I'm seeing in these drills. And it's the first time for them to see this many prospects at one place at one time. So it serves a purpose for them. I don't think it serves a purpose for me and you. We're not football coaches.
But no, the weird thing is it does, apparently.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a reason it's about to be
on
tour.
On tour. It's going to be in prime time. Like, hey, man, people eat it up. Do I? No. I'll catch the 40 on Twitter after Chris Olave runs of, a 4.31 or something like that. Like, yeah, that's awesome. All right.
He was the he was the 9th fastest wide receiver. Buckeye fans like drooling over him.
It just proves the fact that he's really fast.
I'll take him over John Ross, and he was the fastest one that year. So I'm just saying, the Bengals saw speed, draft him. Got to look at the other prospects, though. We'll be back. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash next.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
O'Reilly. Improve visibility and save money at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Replace your old wiper blades with a new pair of Rain-X Advantage wiper blades and save $10 now at O'Reilly. Our professional parts people will even install them for free. See better and drive safer with new wiper blades from O'Reilly Auto Parts in store or online at O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Confession. The only thing I love more than spring itself are the savings I just got at Kohl's. I'm talking 50% off new patio furniture, cute and comfy sandals for under $35, and long sleeve tops for just $11.99. Not only did I earn Kohl's cash, but because I'm a Kohl's Rewards member, I got an extra 25% off too. I mean, extra savings and extra sunlight. Hello, spring. Select styles, 25% Kohl's Rewards offer ends March 6th. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you if you could simply take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. I buy all types of real estate completely as is. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family, apartment buildings, rental portfolios. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer and speak with one of our friendly staff members at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Want to find out what handheld perfection tastes like? Just stop by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken today for a flawless family feast with the 12-piece strips meal at a great price. Get 12 premium tenderloins that are freshly marinated, honey-dipped, hand-breaded, and cooked to crispy perfection, along with 3 large sides, 6 fluffy biscuits, and 4 of your favorite Lee sauces. This is dippable chicken done right. Get the best in boneless chicken with the 12-piece strips meal at a great price. Only at Lee's, famous for chicken.
Can you imagine going to work every day and loving it? Well, that's what we do at Alpha Media Dayton, and we are looking for a digital sales specialist to join our team. We offer a competitive, guaranteed base plus bonuses. For more info, check out the digital sales specialist position at alphamediausa.com/careers.
Spending more time at home? There has never been a better time to invest in your home. There is nothing better than a home theater or high-fidelity music system from Audio Etc. Can't watch your favorite basketball team in person? No problem. Audio Etc. can bring any game home. It's better than being there. You have to see it to believe the incredible quality of the picture and sound. 4K is amazing, but just imagine the 8K experience. Come to Audio Etc. today and experience 8K TVs and projectors. Surround sound? You haven't heard surround sound till you hear Dolby Atmos 360 degrees. It puts you smack dab in the middle with 11.2 channel surround sound. Audio Etc. has the brands, the deals, and the excitement. Audio Etc. powered by Klipsch, Bowers & Wilkins, SVS, Marantz, Denon, Sony, and a whole list of high-performance brands that you've probably never heard of. Audio Etc. 551 Congress Park Drive at the corner of Paragon and Centerville, or call 434-9770.
Audio Etc's crazy cool showroom.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Tip off to frickin' madness. When we say tip off, not only are we talking about every college basketball game available, but our new barbecue rib tips only at Frickers. Delicious bite-sized barbecue rib tips with your choice of dipping sauce. Every game played to the march to the national championship and domestic draft personal pictures for only $6.50. Tip that personal picture. Tip off to the national championship of college basketball and frickin' barbecue rib tips at the home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Frickers.
KTH Parts Industries has immediate openings for second and third shift production associates and equipment technicians. KTH promotes from within, offers an attractive benefit package including medical, dental, 401k, attendance bonus, and a competitive wage, starting at $19 per hour with annual increases and shift differential. KTH will be hosting walk-in interviews Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. through 3 p.m. Please bring a resume and photo ID to apply or see other career opportunities at kth.net. KTH is an equal opportunity employer.
When it comes to your credit card, Discover believes in having real people available 24/7 to help answer your questions. Discover. Exceptionally common sense.
There are many ways to catch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. You can catch it live right here on 1410 Wing AM, or you can stream the show at wingam.com. But now we have another way that you can take in the show. You can now watch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live on ESPN Dayton's Facebook page. Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Coach K's final home game at Cameron Indoor Stadium coming up. I think we talked about this lightly the other day, but the average ticket price. You want to have a guess? The average ticket price again. What is they don't have a lot of room in that old indoor.
Very small.
So with that, what do you think the average ticket price is?
I think I cheated a little bit because I think I saw this, but it's like over $5,000, right?
It is $5,307.
That's a pretty penny.
It is. So they fit 9,300 to be exact. So they can fit up to 9,000 at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Fairly small. Again, UD Arena can fit about 13 in there. I think it's like 12,000 at the Nutter Center. So, and by the way, I know they've made some renovations to Cameron Indoor over the years, but I do wonder if now that Coach K is retiring, if you're Duke, do you kick the tires on, either, I don't know. I've never been to Cameron Indoor, but is there room to renovate that to add more? Not a whole lot.
Dude, it's like a high school gym.
Well, build a new one. That's Coach K. Like Duke's about to go on. They're about to embark on a brand new. Like Duke is Coach K. Coach K is Duke.
Mm-hmm.
Duke will have a brand new personality. They'll have a brand new persona. They're going to have an identity. Doesn't mean it's a good identity. I don't know how good they're going to be or not. The recruiting seems to still be. I mean, they have a very good class coming in next year as well. Even with the knowledge out there that, of course, Coach K is not coming back. Shire now the head coach. If I'm Duke, I build a new arena. I take advantage of that. What if all the work that Coach K has done to create Duke, to make Duke, and then all of a sudden they just come tumbling down, and then you never capitalized off of all of that. I build an arena off of all the success that he's had. Still name it after him, all that stuff. But I get a nice sized college arena. But then you're Duke. You should be playing in that gym. I understand why they've kept it there as long as they have, because it's always been associated with him, and that's Duke basketball. But you have a new identity coming now. If I'm Duke and those not front office, that's pro sports, right? But
no, you got it right.
Yeah,
you got it right.
Office, right? The athletics. I don't know. I think that's something that should be considered over there. But at the same time, we'll see what happens.
I think I'm on the other side. I think you keep it exactly the way it is, just in case things go off the rails. You spend a lot of money. You spend a lot of goodwill and getting and raising funds to build a new arena. And what if you stink and you're not able to pack that joint? You can pack that place now without even thinking about it. Not because you're good. It's because it's so small. So even in down years, they sell out the place because it only fits 9,000 people. So I would go that route. And I mean, the Cameron Crazies, you got to give it up to them, man. Like, they make that environment absolutely crazy. And to think about how crazy they're going to be tomorrow, there's been people out there camping for tickets for over 3 weeks, doing homework on the lawn. And it's been cold. You know what I'm saying? People think it don't get cold in the South. Well, North Carolina is in the South, but that ain't in the deep South. That ain't in Florida or Georgia or anything like that. Like, they get cold weather out there. So them kids out there camping for tickets and everything like that. So they're going to bring their A game tomorrow. And nothing would make me happier to see North Carolina beat Duke tomorrow. A little bit of hater in me.
I mean, so with that in mind, talking about the stadiums, the arenas, if you will. So Ohio State beats Tom Izzo and Michigan State last night. And this is what Tom Izzo had to say about the atmosphere at Ohio State's game last night. He said, Tom Izzo says he was disappointed in Ohio State fans. Now, when I read that headline, I'm like, oh no, what were the fans yelling? What were they doing? Well, they weren't yelling enough, apparently, because Tom Izzo says he was disappointed in Ohio State's fans because the way that Chris Holtmann has this team playing, this place should be rocking and packed. I thought that was an interesting comment, and I respect the hell out of that comment, and I think a lot of people agree. Look, I think Ohio State is the best college basketball program in the state of Ohio. I think that the Dayton Flyers have the best fan base. I think they have the best college basketball fan base in the entire state of Ohio. So there is that. And that's the atmosphere of these games has drastically changed significantly with each and every going year.
Yeah.
Each and every going year. That's the one thing that makes UD so unique is nothing can rattle that cage. There were some bad years in the 90s and the early 2000s. Fans show up. They don't matter. UD fans show up no matter what. Ohio State has a top 25. I mean, again, but the standard of excellence at Ohio State, it's still a high bar you have to reach to get the fans to come out to games. I give UD fans credit because they're there supporting no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
I still think that, Ohio State fans, it takes a lot. I was there the night that they beat Duke. That was one of the wildest atmospheres I can ever remember at the Shot. But it shouldn't take a Coach K farewell tour to bring the heat in the Shot. You have a team that is one of the top teams in the Big Ten. They're a 4 seed if the Big Ten tournament started today. I know they're not, I don't know. I don't get it because Ohio State football fans are so damn passionate. I know basketball is nothing like football, but they're still so dang good. Chris Holtmann has done a fantastic job. Chris Holtmann is still the best college basketball coach in the state of Ohio. So to me, I agree with Tom Izzo 1,000,000% with the way that program is right now, with the way Chris Holtmann has that program playing and recruiting and everything else. That place should be rocking way more.
We're spoiled. Ohio State fans are spoiled. Spoiled about the football team, spoiled about the basketball team. And what makes it worse about the basketball team and us as fans is we don't care until something goes awry with the basketball team. We care at every turn about the football team. If they blow somebody out 38-0, but it really didn't look like 38-0, we're mad. With the basketball team, we don't check in until, wait a minute, what? We're on the bubble? What's going on here? That's exactly how we are as fans, especially with the Ohio State team. I think maybe it has something to do with us primarily being a football school and everything like that. I probably Kentucky feels the same way about their football team. Like, call us when the basketball season starts, or we're going to football games until the basketball season starts. I think it has a lot to do with that. And I think a lot of fans are out there just spoiled. Like, we'll get to a game. Because that's just the way we are, man. We're spoiled as sports fans, especially with Ohio State being so good at football and so good at basketball. Not a lot of schools out there are good at both. You know what I'm saying? There's some schools out there that are good at football and baseball, and stuff like that, or are good at basketball and baseball, like Ole Miss is and everything like that. But there's very few programs out there that are good at the two most revenue generating sports, which are football and basketball. And we Buckeye fans, we're spoiled, man. We just are.
So some guy on Facebook again.
What up?
I'm not trying to be a wise guy. I love the disclaimer. He goes, when I asked this, but how often or when was the last time Wright State had a sellout for men's basketball? If I had to guess, they've hosted a conference championship game a few times, and those were close to sellouts, and they had to pull out those big old risers from the opposite end of the Nutter Center. But I don't think I can't tell. If I had to guess, Michigan State back in that 2000 season. But to be fair, again, people are like, man, that's embarrassing. Look, you got to understand the landscape of college basketball and mid-major basketball. Who is selling out at the mid-major level? And Wright State's a traditional mid-major school. Wright State is they led the league in attendance again this year. That's what they average about 4,000 to 5,000 fans a game. That's what they do. That's what most mid-majors do. What UD has is not normal. That's not normal. Like, it's beyond what most schools like that. I mean, watch when UD goes on the road. The majority of fans that are in those stadiums, in those arenas, usually most of them UD fans, the only time those arenas are rocking, I mean, there's some embarrassing schools in the A10. There's some bad schools in the A10. LaSalle and all those. I mean, it's bad when you watch UD play at some of those arenas and how empty they are and all that stuff. So that just shows you right there that UD plays in a conference with a lot of similar schools. But there is nothing similar or normal about the UD fan base and the support that they give their program. So when people talk about, the no fans support Wright State, they all support UD. There's 13,000 plus fans that support UD on a home in, home out game basis. I get that, but at the same time, that's not normal. What Wright State's doing, that's about normal. What Wright State's getting is actually a little above normal. Look at the Northern Kentuckys. Look at a lot of the schools that are built in same capacities. They have nicer arenas too. That BB&T Arena in Cincinnati. Oh man, if Wright State ever got one of those, that would be killer. That would be killer. Nutter's cool. It's starting to get a little old and outdated or whatever. That BB&T Arena,
like early 90, right?
80, I thought 90 or whatever. Yeah, it's not that old.
How many does it fit for basketball?
I think 12. About 12-ish in that range. 11 or 12 in that range.
Okay.
But BB&T Arena is sweet.
Yeah, I saw Jay-Z there before.
Really?
Yes.
You want to know my favorite is when, I was a student radio. Jason Derulo went out to the Nutter Center. His opening act performed longer than he did. Nobody showed up, and he was pissed. He performed for like maybe 40 minutes. He had the Wright State jersey on and everything. He walked out. He tried to sell it, but like it didn't work. It was uncomfortable as could be. Like,
wow.
He performed for like 40 minutes, man. His opening act went like about an hour, and he performed longer than Derulo did.
Wow.
Never been back since. I don't think anyone's missed him. Don't think anyone cares. But
been a lot of good shows at the Nutter Center. Kevin Hart's been there.
I was at that one last time.
Lil Wayne was here. Who else was here? Nick Cannon and Wild 'N Out was here. Yeah, a lot of good shows at the Nutter Center.
So Mark Smith says the Raiders don't have half the history that UD does.
Here we go. Here we go.
But I get that. But no, I hear a lot of these same things. But again, no matter what you say, Dayton basketball fans, you're not normal. And I don't mean that in a mean way. It's the support that they have is not normal. There's no other team that is like UD, a mid-major team like Dayton. And I think with basketball, I always try to refer to it. There's high major. I think Dayton's a mid-major. Wright State's a low major. I would, the Ohio States of the world, they're the high major teams. When I've talked to Jay Billis and others, he's always said, look, we talk about mid-major and you talk about power fives. It's more of like a football reference. We don't use power fives in basketball, really. Right. But he refers to the power fives, if you will, and like the Big East and others as the high majors.
Yeah.
The A10 and others as the mid majors, and then the Horizon League and others as the low majors. So to take a mid major program like Dayton, I guess, that's not normal for them. Hell, to be fair to UD, that's not the support that they have isn't normal for most power fives, if you will, for high major programs. Go to the Nebraska game, go to a lot of these Big Ten schools. They don't get the damn support that the Dayton Flyer fans give them. But at the same time, I don't think that Dayton outwins anybody. Dayton's not dominating their own. They're not dominating the A10. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to talk about what Dayton's dominant at, it's fan support. It's the fan base. The fan base is more loyal than the Ohio State basketball fan base. But is Dayton a better basketball program than Ohio State? At the risk of making it sound like I'm taking a shot at them, no, they're not. But they're not a bad program. They're not. I'm not even talking smack about. It's just common sense. They're not. But to sit there and always use that same philosophy against Wright State is just not fair. That's like going to a JV basketball game and saying, man, how come people aren't as interested in this level of basketball as that level of it? Well, because that's the bigger schools. That's the bigger level of play. It's not that hard. It's really not. But no, for who Wright State is, comparing them to all the other similar schools, that's the standard. Like that's the fan base. That's the support you get. That's the attendance you get. Of course, you'd like to see that place sold out. Of course, you'd like to see the same type of support there as what UD gets. But it doesn't mean that Wright State doesn't have support or that doesn't have a fan base. That's not true at all. So there you go. 518-1410. Some guy says, random thought, but how much do you think the whole UD not playing Wright State has to do with UD being afraid to lose some of the fan base? It's just sort of odd that UD sells out how they do and the Raiders hardly get the same fanfare. Again, I think what UD has is rare. It's not normal as far as that's concerned. I've also never once believed, I know what you're saying, some guy, I wish this some guy had a name on Facebook. I think that Wright State could beat UD 3 straight times, and I don't think one fan of UD heads to the Thunder Center instead.
Yeah, nobody's on the fence.
Yep. I've said if Wright State makes the tournament this year and makes one of those Cinderella Final Four runs, they lose, they come back, Everyone claps and cheers, and then they go right back home and say, "Where's my UD season tickets?" That's on it. And that's coming from me, who defends Wright State at every turn. I'm not delusional. I know how this city works. It'll never change. But it also doesn't mean, like, I love when people bring up the fan. Oh, UD gets way more fans at their place. Okay, super. What has that done to get them to the NCAA tournament? How many Final Fours has that gotten them? How many national championships has that gotten them? Because Wright State can win just as many games without the same fan support. They can get to just as many NCAA tournaments without the same fan support. So that's what that's what the big fight between Mikey and I was about. Every time I would ask him a question about trying to make a point, he would counter it with the fans. I'm like, I know the more fans go. We're not arguing with you about that. But that's his counter to everything. So is what it is. 518-1410. 518-1410.
What did he call you that day?
He called me a fat. He called me a fat ass. I wish we had the audio for that. You do on your Twitter page.
I do. It's pinned, by the way.
Yeah.
If anybody want to check that. What did you call him?
A moron. It was So Mark says, remember UD knocking Ohio State out a few years back? Yeah, it was.
They beat Syracuse a couple years ago, too.
I saw someone say, too, and then they got also blown out by Syracuse, in another tournament game there. But what was I going to say? Wow. ADD moment, big time.
I cut you off. I'm sorry.
You did. But he said, Ohio State lost to UD a few years back. Yeah, they did. I mean, they did. But at the same time, Oral Roberts just beat Ohio State last year, and I don't think anyone thinks Oral Roberts is a better basketball program. Upsets happen. I'm not trying to be mean, but UD upset Ohio State that year in the tournament. That was that last year for Aaron Kraft and a lot of that, memorable class that Ohio State had. My favorite picture, though, someone said the other day on Twitter, is like, what's your most memorable image of an NCAA tournament game? My favorite one, it's Aaron Kraft laying with his hands behind his head, just staring up at the ceiling. Whoever got that shot, it was my favorite shot. That picture is awesome. That's the most memorable one. Another comment, but it could sway local kids to root for them more. A guy like myself grew up closer to the Wright State campus, but because I went to a Xavier game when I was young, I was hooked. And that's fair. I just think it would have to happen a lot.
Yeah.
That's why I laugh when UD won't even entertain the idea of playing Wright State. I'm like, you guys act like they're nobody and that they're nothing and that there's nothing in it for you. But if there's something to lose for you, then there's something to win for you. That's always my thing. You can't say that Wright State is nothing and that the game means nothing, because if there is something that you are worrying about losing, then to me, there's clearly something to gain. So that's why I don't believe when they say that Wright State's nothing, that's why we don't want to play them. You technically kind of fear the matchup. You fear what you could potentially lose. So there's that. But 518-1410, do you have to hit this? No, we'll go to them. We'll hit it quick then. 518-1410. I want you to hear what I just said about that, though. Mm-hmm. Like, when people tell me that, well, there's nothing in it for UD to play Wright State. Well, if there's something you're worried about the outcome, if you lose and there's something that you're worried about losing, okay, then don't act like that. Don't act like they're nothing then. Because if they're a threat, then if you're worried about the outcome of a game with a certain opponent, then they're a threat to you, or that there's something that you're worried about, or they bring something to the table that you don't want to put a spotlight on. That's what it is. So when people say, well, they don't care about that school, they care about them because they care about them enough to have an opinion as to why they don't want to play them, because they're worried that if they lose, something will happen to them. Well, that sounds like you care an awful lot. If you have a reason and you have a whole game plan as to why you don't do something, they've put you in a position to care. That's all I'm trying to say as far as that goes. But as I've said, Wright State can make the NCAA tournament this year. They can make a Final Four run. They can come back and the city will be super supportive, and it'll be right back to UD basketball again next year. However, that never changes the fact that 13,000 fans could be at UD Arena and 10,000 fans can fill up the Nutter Center. That'll never keep the city from doing that. But how does Wright State connect with the fan base? I think it's a Horizon League thing. How passionate do people actually get about Horizon League basketball? Not very. How many people get passionate about A10 basketball? A little bit easier to get more passionate about A10. I think once UD gets into that Big East or a bigger conference, whenever that year or decade comes, who knows? I've always said, too, when I hear UD people say, well, Ohio State, they'll never come play us here. Well, it's not that they're not afraid of you. It's not that they're not willing to go play Dayton, but a Big Ten school is not going to go play on the road at an A10 school. It's not that you're Dayton and that's why they're disrespecting you. You're an A10 school. That's why they're disrespecting you. Ohio State, Kentucky, those programs, Kev, they're not going to go play at Dayton. You're an A10 school. I don't care how good you are. You're very good. Great program, solid coach, all that. Great. But you're an A10 school. They're not labeling you because you're Dayton. They're not afraid of you because you're Dayton. They just don't want to go on the road to play an A-10 school. The A-10 schools are supposed to go play the big boys out there, not the other way around. UD goes to the Big East, or they go to even the American or whatever. I think at that point, now you kind of get that rub a little bit. I mean, hell, Ohio State's played multiple. They've played at Cincinnati. They've played at Xavier. They're willing to go on the road in the state. So it's not that. But what do those other schools have in common? They play in respectable conferences. A-10's more respectable than the Horizon, don't get me wrong, but it's not one of the big boys.
I mean, look at Gonzaga. They still got to travel east a ton. People don't go out to Gonzaga to play. Gonzaga travels to their team, to other arenas, and then they also play in these tournaments. So, Gonzaga's been a power for quite some time as well, and they don't get a lot of big-time schools coming to their place.
518-1410. Kev, who we got?
We got Don.
Don, how are you? Thanks for holding.
Yeah, not a problem. I told Kev, I think Dayton has just been a great area for basketball in general. I was at Wright State in the pep band when Wright State beat Michigan State, and that was packed out. And so I'm a big, supporter of Wright State. I just I'm not able to get to the games a lot. And then, hey, I'll follow UD, no problem, especially when they're, doing well and in the tournament, and been to their games as well. I just think people get, worked up over the attendance stuff. It's silly. Hey, so both programs, whether you can go to the game or not, and it just benefits Dayton as a whole. And so I always find it silly that they don't play each other, because I think it would just benefit the community, whether it benefits each other. It's a benefit for the community. We're just celebrating that we have a good basketball heritage, and we got really two good teams and players from the area sometimes that might go to Wright State or whether go to the UD. It's just Dayton's been a good hub for basketball, even high school basketball. So I just think people get all worked up on the attendance and whether that stuff, we need to give up on, whether they're in this league or that league. Just, hey, let's just play and just enjoy and celebrate that we got two good teams in the area. So I think people get worked up about it.
There's definite egos in that athletics department at the University of Dayton. It's no secret. Big egos, and they view themselves in a way that not many other people view them outside of their fan base, which is fine. I think, you should view and hold yourself to a high standard, but at the same time, they kind of come across very snobby in a lot of their reasonings. Especially when there was the Oregon District shooting, there was a lot of different things that the city could have done for those two programs to come together to put on a game to give back to the community, but they were more worried about their net ranking, and they were more worried about, Wright State, they don't do anything for us, all while playing the crappy Detroits and the bottom feeders of the conference. That's where I would get irritated. Even the Memorial Day Tornadoes, that should have been a situation where they came together to put on some kind of charity game to give back to the community. But again, the athletic director and the entire athletics department, they were more worried with, what does this do for our net ranking? They were more worried about their egos and the schematics of it than they were about the community. That's the only thing I always complain about on a regular basis. If those two reasons right there, Don, didn't get them to come together to play, hell, even the pandemic when everyone was struggling to get games, that didn't bring it together, it'll never happen. I'll be very surprised if it ever happens in my lifetime again.
Right. It would be nice if they would. I did, it was young. I was really young when I saw the Gym City Jam and stuff like that. But it's sad. I know Wright State is the younger of the schools, and probably the fan base is probably a lot younger because, we're probably the majority of us probably are in their 40s and 50s, and it's, a rarity when you run across somebody that's in their 60s and 70s that have graduated from Wright State. But, Wright State's fan base has nowhere to go but up, just because they're always producing, good alumni. So, and we're always going to remember Michigan State and when we played them, or just, our favorite players. Even I can go back to the Dolabo brothers when they were playing, and some of the great players that came through back then. And so I just would like to see maybe a little bit more, area recruiting from Dayton. I know we got Trotwood players going to Cleveland State and stuff like that, but I would like to see more area players also get recruited, because I think our area has just been, amazing as far as talent. in the recent years or just for a long time. So, but it would be nice if they play. I know they won't, but maybe someday they'll get an athletic director that has a change of heart and just come on, let's just get a game, or whether it's an exhibition game or that's just for community support and something. But it's frustrating that they don't.
Yep, I completely get it, and that's probably the most common sense that's been used on this show in quite some time post NFL season. So I appreciate that, Don. Don, thank you, appreciate you.
Have a good day, guys.
Take care. Have a good weekend, because it is Friday.
It
is Friday. But yeah, I know a lot of these are the same talking points we use every time we jump into this conversation. I don't even know how we got into this conversation, but it started with the ticket prices for Coach K's final home game, and then it turned into capacity for, arena capacities and everything along those lines. And then, of course, it led into questions in the chat section regarding Dayton and Wright State. But no, I know Wright State's not Dayton, but this idea that because 13,000 fans fill up UD Arena for their home games, that the weird UD fans, because not all of them are this way, but there's a good chunk of you delusional UD fans out there that actually think that because 13,000 fans fill up UD Arena, that there's no way that anyone will ever go to Wright State. That was a few years ago. I remember Wright State UD had a home game at the same time, same night, with the Flying to the Hoop high school basketball show. It was the year Luke Kennard. It was his final year. There was 13,000 fans at the UD game. There was 6,000 fans at the Nutter Center for the Wright State game, and there was 4,000 fans at Trent Arena watching Luke Kennard for his final game, or for his final Flying to the Hoop game, if you will. I mean, that's 23,000 fans in a wintry, freezing cold, snowy night in Dayton, Ohio. That did not keep 23,000 fans from dispersing throughout the city to fill up 3 different venues to watch college basketball and future college basketball stars as far as that's concerned. So I always remember that. Like that night, I was like, man, this city's awesome. I love living in this city because college basketball in general is my favorite sport. And this city loves its basketball. That's why I love living in this city. But that night, that was the first time, that eye-opening night. Like, man, they just 3 different venues, 23,000 fans combined between 3 different venues taking in basketball all on one night. That's pretty cool. Eric Horseman and Flying to the Hoop, man, it's going to be a tough night doing it here. I mean, UD has a home game. We're good. That's really going to impact our attendance. It didn't touch their attendance. It didn't impact Flying to the Hoop and Eric Horseman's event whatsoever. Oh, man, no one's going to go to the Wright State game. They had 6,000 fans at the Wright State game that same night. That's just how it is. People love basketball around here. Could Wright State get more fans? Yes, but find me a school that's Wright State's size that regularly gets 10 to 12,000 fans in attendance. You're not going to. It's not the way it works. It's just not the way it works. I would like it to work different, but it doesn't. 518-1410. We'll be back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
You want to feel important.
You want to be part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things.
You want to feel like you belong.
We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something
50. Tonight's going to be mostly cloudy, a low near 38. And tomorrow's going to be mostly cloudy and very windy, but a high near 75. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather brought to you by Cullet Propane, keeping utilities simple and families warm since 1952. See how and more at culletpropane.com.
Did you know that 3 Ohioans are diagnosed with oral cancer every day? Dentists are doctors of dental surgery and can recognize life-threatening conditions and treat oral diseases before they become serious health complications. Ohio Dental Association member dentists are located throughout the state and are dedicated to providing the highest quality dental care. Ask if your dentist is a member of the Ohio Dental Association and American Dental Association, so you know you're being treated by the best. To find an ODA dentist in your area, visit associationsadvanceohio.com.
Now an important message from Exergen. A critical new FDA study proves that the widely used non-contact thermometers are not accurate and have high probabilities for false negative readings. New COVID strands are on the rise, and non-contact manufacturers are being irresponsible at a time when accuracy matters most. Accurate temperature measurements are essential. Don't wait. Switch to Exergen because they are accurate and backed by over 100 clinical studies. Be sure, be accurate with Exergen. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents and Doug.
Check it out, Limu, a roadside carnival.
Step right up, folks. Test your strength. Come see the fire-breathing baby.
Let's fan out and tell people that Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Look, an emu wearing sunglasses.
Limu, you're famous. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty. No one should read your personal messages. That's why WhatsApp uses end-to-end encryption. It protects whatever you send before, during, and after you send it. Always message privately. WhatsApp.
Research shows that people remember radio ads with a booming voice that emphasizes all the main points. So to help you remember that Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
That part is super important.
Here's one with a booming voice.
I'm emphasizing everything.
Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance.
Like a page with every word highlighted.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Exergen wants you to know about an important study just released by the FDA. It confirms what the medical community has known all along. Non-contact thermometers are not accurate, and they fail to meet FDA requirements for accuracy in labeling. With new strains of COVID on the rise, we can't afford to tolerate the rampant false temperature readings from non-contact thermometers. You need Exergen thermometers because they are accurate and backed by over 100 clinical studies. Be sure, be accurate with Exergen. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Save big money and get 11% off everything at Menards. Honeywell thermostats keep your home's temperature comfortable through every season while saving on your heating and cooling bill. Menards has a great selection of programmable and Wi-Fi units to control with your phone or tablet. Save 11% on all Honeywell thermostats. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through March 5th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Have you heard about the Montgomery County Clerk of Courts Help Center? We provide legal information, programs, and resources that may be available to you. The Help Center cannot provide legal advice, but we can provide information on a variety of topics, including expungements, protection orders, identity theft, and more. We are out in the community several days a week, and we've recently partnered with the Dayton Metro Library's many locations. Visit courthouse2u.com to learn more. Brought to you by Montgomery County Clerk of Courts, Mike Foley.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, and we are back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Wasn't trying to be too negative with my college basketball discussion. It just went where the listeners took us as far as the chat section is concerned. Just a reminder, the Dayton Flyers welcome in Davidson tomorrow afternoon, 12:30, the tip-off. Dayton's 21-9 overall, 13-4 over 21-9 overall, 13-4 in A-10 play. With the win tomorrow, Kev, the Flyers have a chance to move up from that 3 seed to a 2 seed. But again, a lot of chips have to fall, in the right spot. The A-10 tournament tips off on March 9th. It'll run through Selection Sunday on March 13th, where a champion will be crowned. All of that taking place at Capitol Capital One Arena in Washington, not Brooklyn, as I said yesterday, but Washington. And the big question is Selection Sunday. Will the Dayton Flyers be playing on Selection Sunday? And will the result of if the Flyers are playing on Selection Sunday lead to them dancing come NCAA tournament time? That is the big question. So a big game for the Flyers against Davidson tomorrow. We highlighted it earlier, but Ohio State got a big win over Michigan State last night after losing to Maryland and Nebraska in back-to-back games. The highlight from that game, of course, was Tom Izzo in the postgame basically calling out Ohio State fans, saying that he's very disappointed in Ohio State's fans in the turnout because Ohio State, the top 25 team, an NCAA tournament regular since Chris Holtmann got there. Remember, that was one of the reasons that Thad Matta was starting to be questioned at Ohio State. The recruiting had kind of taken a step back. Ohio State's tournament appearances had started to take a step back. They were looking for somebody to come in and kind of turn the program around, right? In fact, they felt like they failed because they were supposed to get Archie Miller. Archie Miller was the hottest name on the head coach, on the young head coach market out there that was looking to move up into the bigger ranks, of course, the Big Ten at that. Well, Archie Miller went to Indiana. Buckeye fans, including myself, thought that the Chris Holtmann hire was lazy, that it was not lazy, but it was a bad hire because
was that a summer hire?
It was a late hire. It was a summer. Yeah. It was after all the other coaching vacancies were filled. Like, it wasn't like with everyone that job did not. And again, he retired or resigned or whatever it was. But we all know what that meant. We all know what that meant for Thad Matta at that time. But the point is with Archie Miller, that was supposed to be Ohio State's next big coach. Chris Holtmann comes in. I remember a lot of Buckeye fans were upset with the hire because they wanted Archie, and they said, "Well, if you were going, it worked out perfect. UD's, Elite Eight caliber team that kind of just continued to grow and all that stuff. That was the final year of Pollard and all them for Archie Miller." Ohio State was eyeing Archie, saying when that class goes, Archie's probably gone, and then that'll work out perfect. Then Thad Matta leaves, and it's weeks or months after. Did you pull it up?
June 9th, 2017.
Yeah. That's ridiculous. So he retires then. Totally, it's not good timing whatsoever. So now the good coaches are taken. They get Chris Holtmann. Buckeye fans upset because it wasn't the coach they wanted. I'm not going to lie. I thought it was underwhelming. I was like, well, that stinks. Archie would have been perfect in Ohio State. Now Archie never made the NCAA tournament, is no longer employed in college basketball right now, and Buckeye fans are upset with Chris Holtmann because he lost to Nebraska, although they're heading right back to the NCAA tournament. He's been in the NCAA tournament every single season since he took over for Thad Matta 3 years ago. What more do you want from him?
I have no idea. I mean, he's recruiting at an elite level outside of, what is the kid's name? Drawing a blank. He's from Akron. He goes to Oak Hill. Anyway, he is like one of the only big-time Ohio recruits that didn't come to Ohio State over the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. Chris Livingston is his name. He went to like 4 different schools in Akron. Now he's at Oak Hill. He'll be going to Kentucky. He's a 5-star dude, all that good stuff. Outside of him, every big-time recruit out of Ohio during his tenure has come to Ohio State. So he's doing his job on the recruiting.
And that turned around because I don't think it was realistic to expect a Luke Kennard to go to Ohio State, who did choose Duke,
right?
Of course. But at the same time, why not? Why not? We ripped Urban Meyer and others who continued to not bring Ohio talent to Ohio State, who he continued to go out and get the best players available out there. And then the fact that the best high school basketball player that year was Luke Kennard, and didn't even entertain the idea of going to, well, maybe I shouldn't say entertain, but the fact that he chose Duke over Ohio State because Ohio State the program was not healthy enough for him to go there, for him to feel like he could make a difference. So that's one reason why too. So going to be interesting nonetheless, but Ohio State, they close out the regular season on Sunday, 12:30, the tip-off against Michigan. You can catch that right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Wright State basketball, they'll be back in action on Monday night. Wright State won last night. In fact, they beat Oakland. They played horrible for 30 of the 40 minutes. They played horrible. I should say for 28 to the 40 minutes, they played horrible because they shot the ball like below 20% for about 30 minutes of that. They could not hit a shot to save their life. Oakland at one point in the first half was shooting the ball with just a few minutes to go, was close to 70%. They couldn't miss. And they came out in the second half and Oakland started punching Wright State in the mouth again. Wright State trailed by as much as 14. I thought, here we go. Another season being eliminated on your home floor in the quarterfinal round. And then whatever Coach Nagy said in the timeout, Coach Nagy, a great in-game, does a great job at adjusting in games. I think just a fantastic coach. I've said if you take Anthony Grant's recruiting ability with Scott Nagy's ability to coach a basketball game, be one of the best college basketball coaches around. I'm just saying that's how I love Coach Nagy. He does a fantastic job. Whatever he said in that timeout, Kev, they went on one heck of a run. It was, I believe, like at 30. It was 38-15. Wright State went on a 38-15 run over the final 12 minutes to win by double digits. They punched their ticket to the semifinal, 2 wins away from getting to the NCAA tournament. They have Cleveland State, who has a couple local Dayton players on that roster as well, Deshaun Parker, as well as, of course, one of my favorite players that I really wanted to go to Wright State. So player of the year was a candidate for player of the year, I'm sorry, but then Torrey Patton. Yeah. Torrey Patton was fantastic at Trotwood. One of my favorite. I mean, I watched him drop almost 30 plus or whatever in the state tournament against Akron St. Vincent St. Mary's. I was ticked when he ended up not going to Wright State. Yeah. But that's going to be a fun matchup on Monday night.
Absolutely, man. I believe Cleveland State. Yeah, it was that Friday night game, the blackout game that was on ESPN I was watching, and we didn't win the game, and we were talking about Wright State. But, you know, they would have to beat us 3 times. It's hard to do that. We're winning. We are winning on Monday, and we are going to the Horizon League Championship game, and whomever we play, better watch out. I'm calling it.
Well, it's hard to beat a team 3 times, but to be fair, Wright State beat Oakland last night for the 3rd time. Wright State is 2-4 against the semifinal field right now. They lost both games.
Don't be messing up my mojo.
I'm just saying they lost both games against NKU this year. They lost both games against Cleveland State. They did take both games against Purdue Fort Wayne, who that's their 2nd full year in the league, and they won they were coach regular season champs at Cleveland State. So there's that.
So basically anything can happen.
No, I'm picking Wright State to win.
There you go.
Cleveland State's a weird team. The team that gave the Horizon League their best chance to get an NCAA tournament win was beat last night. Oakland has like legitimate players on that roster. Campy's one of the best college basketball coaches out there. But, man, that dude, he puts some serious talent on the roster, but he never seems to get those guys to click all at once. Wright State wasn't the more talented team last night, but they were the better team. And that's what ended up happening. Fun fact right here. This comes from Seth Davis about Coach K. You know that the year before Coach K was hired at Duke, what was the record of his Army team? You don't have to hit it on the head, but how many wins you think?
15.
Today's landscape, the last questionable hire that didn't require you to win games to get a head coaching job was Cliff Kingsbury in the NFL. Mike Krzyzewski went 9-17 in his last season with Army, and Duke still hired him. And there you go. Find a loser coach, and you'll be set for
I love Duke.
So there's that. But all right, folks. All right, we'll be back in a moment. 518-1410. Talk more Evan McPherson. We'll talk more Bengals. Talk offensive line. That's next.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Expert